Right, and I will pull up the agenda. Okay. I think we're good to go.
Alrighty. All right, we'll call the meeting to order and we'll start with introductions. I'm Matt Brower, chair of the state committee. And as far as I know, Darren is not here.
Correct.
So we'll start with Dale in sunny Florida.
Dale Stein, voting member.
And Scott.
Scott Ryan, voting member.
Erica.
Erica Goodman, voting member.
And then I will take it from here. Yeah, so we will first start with folks in Syracuse. We've got PJ.
Hello, PJ Emmerich, Region 2 Regional Coordinator.
Scott Fickbaum, Region 3 Regional Coordinator.
Caitlin Stewart, President, Conservation District Employees Association. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian Cunningham, Region 4 ADA.
And Tyler Knapp, Program Analyst here at the State Committee.
All right, thank you all. We'll do Albany here. I'm Bethany Bisdu, Executive Director of the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee.
I'm Jason Coquinos, Environmental Analyst for State Committee.
Tim Sheldon, Excelsior Fellow here at the department.
Melissa Gordon, Administrative Assistant.
Brian Steinmiller, Assistant Director, Land and Water
I got my
Resources.
little string platter ready. Big flip, big reveal.
Okay. All right, and then we'll move to our state committee staff who are on the line. Greg Albrecht.
Morning, everybody. Greg Albrecht with the State Committee and Ag and Markets.
Is Jennifer Clifford with us? Ben Luskin?
Ben Luskin, Region 5 AEA.
Ron Bush? Oh, he just joined the meeting. Brendan Jordan.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Brendan Jordan, CNMP Specialist for the State Committee.
Tim Clark.
Yep, good morning, everybody. I'm the engineer for the State Committee.
Victor DiGiacomo.
I'm Victor DiGiacomo, Regional Field Staff for Western New York, Region 1.
Lauren Przorski. Chastity Miller.
Chastity Miller, AEM Base Coordinator.
All right, that includes all of our state committee staff, and we'll move on to our advisory members. Do we have anyone additional from Ag and Markets?
I can claim that role.
Thank you.
Yep.
Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Yep. Good morning, Dan Welch, Executive Director, Cayuga County Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Good morning, Dan. How about Cornell Kales? We did receive an email from Jared Popoli. He will be attending, but will be a few minutes late. DEC.
Billy Capola here, New York State DEC.
Good morning. How about Department of Health?
Morgan Tarbell, Department of Health.
Good morning. Department of State.
Good morning, Pete Zimmer, Department of State.
Good morning. SUNY ESF.
Morning, Christine Georgakakos with SUNY ESF.
All right, good morning. And how about NRCS?
Good morning, everyone. Jeremy Call, New York NRCS Partnerships.
Good morning. All right, Matt, that concludes our, oh, no, it doesn't. So I just want to say welcome to all the soil and water conservation districts and members of the public who are on the line. Please feel free to enter your name and your affiliation into the chat for our meeting records. That concludes the introduction.
Then we will move on to review and approval of minutes. Is there any discussion on the previous meeting minutes? If not, motion to approve.
Motion
I'll
to
make a motion.
approve. Second.
Okay, we'll go to voting. Dale,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. And we are on the correspondence from Bethany.
All right, so I'm sorry for the folks who are on the line and those of you who are in Syracuse, but I have laid out a slew of district newsletters and district annual reports that have come into our office in hard copy. They are all excellent publications highlighting the fantastic work that's happening all across the state within, all sorts of sectors, from the ag sector, the non-ag sector, our programs. So folks here in the room, please feel free to peruse the newsletters. We utilize a lot of information that districts include in these newsletters to put our state committee annual report together. And so I greatly appreciate districts for putting the work in and sending those newsletters out, because they're just another amazing way to get the word out there about who you are and what you do. So thank you for sending those to us. But other than those newsletters, I don't have any other official correspondence to present to the group today. But I do want to share with everyone an overview of the executive budget proposal that came out on the afternoon of our last state committee meeting. So, back in January, I wasn't able to deliver the update then. So I just want to kind of review it now. For this committee, everybody should have received an email and a copy of the proposed Environmental Protection Fund budget on the Wednesday after it was released. But on January 21st, Governor Hochul announced the proposed fiscal year 2026 executive budget, which includes a proposed budget for the Environmental Protection Fund, which supports many of the programs that are administered by our New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee, and that ultimately support the work that soil and water conservation districts do. The total appropriations that are being proposed for the fiscal year 26 Environmental Protection Fund are being proposed at $400 million. This is consistent with what was enacted for fiscal year 2025. Some highlights from the Environmental Protection Fund proposal are that the climate resilient farming program is being proposed at $15.25 million, which includes $500,000 for the Cornell Soil Health Program. The agricultural non-point source pollution control projects line of the EPF is being proposed at $18.5 million, which is a slight increase from what was enacted last year. This also includes up to $250,000 for Cornell Pesticide Management Education Program. $22.25 million is being proposed for the Water Quality Improvement Program, which is administered by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, but soil and water conservation districts are eligible to apply for those funds. That is level with what was enacted last year. 17.25 is being proposed for the soil and water conservation districts line, which, as folks know, that line supports our state aid to districts program. That is also level with what was enacted last year for fiscal year 25. There are a number of other highlights, programs, included in the full, proposed Environmental Protection Fund budget, but those are just a couple that I wanted to call out here. But please remember that this is the executive budget proposal and it is subject to change based on discussions with the legislature, and ultimately, before becoming enacted, the budget must be approved by our state legislature. So stay tuned for more updates on this budget. Any questions? I don't think there's any in the chat.
No worries.
Okay.
Well, then we'll move on to the AIM-based program year 19.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Can you see my screen and the one with not notes?
Yes.
All right. We got it today. Good morning, everybody. Chastity Miller here, AEM-based program coordinator. We talked about the new round 19 at the January meeting and provided you guys a draft copy of our contract and policies, procedures and whatnot. And so we sent that to you guys and we sent that out to soil and water districts. And we received a few comments back. So I wanted to take a few minutes back and talk about some of the adjustments we made from comments that we received back from districts and information that we've updated a little bit. And just as a reminder, back at that meeting in January, we had talked about the rates, and let me switch to the next slide and we'll go there. So one district pointed out that we hadn't adjusted the soil sample price from 10,000 for 2 years up to the 15,000 for 3 years. So we just made that adjustment so there was enough money for districts to do enough samples for 3 years as opposed to 2. In that last meeting, like I was just saying, we had talked about rates and adding 3 different rates to our program. And since February 15th was the day that annual district reports were due, thank you to Ben Luskin, who took all those numbers for us and quickly crunched those to figure out the adjustment to this year's hourly rates. So we made an adjustment on the rates that we're proposing for the AEM to $60, $68, and $74 an hour. And let me just go back a slide for a second. And these are for the different certifications within those options. And so $60 being the base option for hourly rate. 68 are for our option B certifications, which are the CCA, NRCS planner, the TSP, the SAF certified forestry and technician. And we also added the professional wetland scientist and the certified arborist to this option now. That's another adjustment that we have made. And then $74 an hour for those individuals that have AEM planner, SAF, EIT, and engineering or engineering and training certifications. So we took, again, thank you to Ben for pulling all those numbers together, but we adjusted those hours up at your recommendation to make sure we were catching the right rates for districts. So again, annual reports, we also shifted to be due in January as opposed to February, recognizing that districts have a lot on their plates in February, due to doing annual reporting and getting all those things in. We have 2 annual reports that are due, 1 each year. So they're pretty minimal and very similar to an interim report, and actually almost just about identical. The other thing, like I mentioned already, is that we added the professional wetland scientist, certified arborist to option B certifications, so that we were making sure we were capturing all of those certifications that help to plan and develop really good projects within the program. So let me just go back a quick second as a reminder. Option A, $300,000 over 3 years. Option B, $360,000 over 3 years, and you need to have an individual on staff full-time for these certifications. Option C, $420,000, and again, these individuals on staff for that option. $15,000 in soil sampling. This also includes manure and forages. Again, we upped this from 10,000 to 15, so we made sure we had enough money for the 3 years. Track funds, these track funds, district time, and also for the cost share. And then we've added the rates and we increased those to be in line with what districts are reporting at this time. Our implementations track, it's up to $300,000 for the 3 years, 87.5% cost share. These are project expenses that are not within the soil and water districts, so we can continue to implement great projects that districts are planning utilizing our technical assistance program. And it's also something that goes across the entire state. These are projects that are coming out of our tier 3 planning, and they're all within our BMP systems catalogs and done within 3 years. So we wanted to take a second to let you know a couple of the adjustments we made since we originally rolled these out. Do you have any questions for me at this time? Or if I missed something, Greg, chime in.
I was just curious about the addition of the professional wetland scientists and the certified arborists. Are there districts that have them on staff currently, or is this something that? Okay.
Yep, there's a few.
Okay.
Yep, and what we did when we looked at all of the certifications is we went into each certification and looked at like what degree requirements there were, course requirements, continuing education requirements, and what those certification allowed that individual to do following certification approval. And so we took a pretty hard look at all of those, and I have that documentation if anybody wants it. And we just wanted to take a look, and while going through, and because of some of the district feedback we received, we just took a double look at those and made sure we were covering everybody who is directly putting great programs out there.
Are the arborists, are they involved in the agroforestry programs, or are they involved more like with the urban districts?
All of the above.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's some with more the agriculture forestry side, some with the urban. Some are in general, some individuals that have come to district that have this background, which is why they were chosen to work at the district. So just supporting those certifications, and they help to implement those projects that districts have been planning. DEC's got some additional requirements for some wetland stuff now that we need to do for permitting. And so the wetland scientist specifically helps with that to get those projects on the ground and started.
Yeah, I assume probably that's where they came in. I was just curious about the arborists, like, where they were located, what they were doing.
There's some northern New York, some central New York.
All right, that's all I have.
And I can switch back to this is my favorite slide. We all have our favorites. This one's mine because it puts it all into one area where everything kind of is covered. If you want to just take a second, and again, those rates are 60, 68, and 74.
The other question I had, which I was gonna bring up later, but, do we know how many districts have, PEs on staff?
That's a good question. I can guess, but Ben, do you know off the top of your head? I know he just went through a lot of that annual reporting.
Yeah, so there are 7 districts that have full-time PEs on staff, and I believe 2 that have part-time.
And would those PEs be available to other districts to work, or are they pretty well, got their plates full with the districts they're currently employed at? Do you know? Or if there's a district on the line that can answer that question.
I think that there are some that are available and some that already work with other districts. I do think that once you have an engineer on staff, you pretty much block a lot of their time, but there is that option. And I do think some districts are utilizing some of those other certified people, not just engineers too.
Right.
Planners specifically. I can't see
Alrighty.
the chat. So if there's anything in there.
Yeah, so Jessica Armstrong from Oneida County just added that they have an engineer that works with other districts, but it is, dependent on availability.
Right.
And what they have, work-wise going on.
Awesome. Thank you, Bethany and Jessica.
Any other questions, comments? If not, we need a motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, Dale second. All right, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. And we have a resolution for the voluntary
Yes.
soil health benchmarks.
Let me pull that
Proposed
up.
resolution.
Awesome. Good.
Okay. So just a quick recap here. Last month, and actually going back to last September of 2023, we had a presentation given to the state committee from folks with New York Soil Health and Cornell CALS to first introduce their initial research on benchmarking soil health for production environments. Last month, they returned to the state committee to present on their work, which was being done as a result of the Soil Health and Climate Resiliency Act that was passed in 2022. This act is making it possible or the purpose of this act is to enhance and maintain the health of soil on farms, to improve farm productivity, protect natural resources, and reduce the effect of farming on climate change and mitigate the impact of climate change on farming. One of the pieces of the law stated that the Department of Ag and Markets, in cooperation with the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee and the New York State College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, shall establish appropriate voluntary standards and objectives for soil health and quality. So what we heard last month was, just that. The work has been done, the research has been done, and these benchmarks have now, and voluntary standards have now been established. So because this was work done in accordance with a law that was passed, I felt a formal resolution would be appropriate from the state committee to support the proposed voluntary soil health benchmarks that were established pursuant to Article 11B of the Agriculture and Markets Law. So I guess I'll just go ahead and read the resolution and then we'll go from there. So resolution 2025-01 to support the proposed voluntary soil health benchmarks established pursuant to Article 11B of Agriculture and Markets Law. Whereas Article 11B of Agriculture and Markets Law establishes the Soil Health and Climate Resiliency Law, and whereas pursuant to Section 151M of the Soil Health and Climate Resiliency Law, the Department of Agriculture and Markets, in cooperation with the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee, the New York State College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, established in Section 5712 of the Education Law, and with input from other organizations with expertise in soil health and regional stakeholders, shall establish appropriate voluntary standards and objectives for soil health and quality, reflective of the different geographic regions, soil types, and farming operations. And whereas such standards should include soil quality indicators for biological, physical, and chemical properties of soil, and reflect the latest scientific advancements. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee supports the proposed voluntary soil health benchmarks and commits to continue working with the New York State College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Cornell University, county soil and water conservation districts, and other partners to develop appropriate outreach materials, and will consider how these benchmarks can be utilized to encourage further implementation and adoption of soil health practices.
All right, is there any questions on the resolution? Any comments, discussion?
I move that we approve the support of the proposed voluntary soil health benchmarks.
Second?
I'll second it.
All righty, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica? Okay, motion approved. And annual organization meeting.
Thank you all for that. Let me just shuffle a couple papers here. Okay. So moving on to, our annual organizational meeting. This is something that I want to get back to and do on an annual basis. Last year we had, I guess it was an annual organizational meeting in April, but I'd like to get on the schedule of doing it kind of closer to our first meeting of the year. So I guess the first part of that is to get a nomination and elect chair and vice chair. I do realize that we did this back in the end of 2024, but just in keeping with trying to get back onto the regular schedule, I'd like to see if we could do that again today. I do know Darren is not here, so I guess I'll leave it up to the voting members on how you want to proceed there.
Yeah, my thinking was that even though Darren is not here, since we did have this discussion back a couple months ago, and Darren seemed okay with his role as vice chair, I'm thinking we can go ahead and move forward with nominations, and if it comes out that he ends up vice chair again, I'm guessing he won't have a problem with that based on our earlier discussions on this. And if he does and he feels he has to resign, then we could look to find a new chair, or vice chair rather. So that's kind of my thinking on it. I don't know if anybody else has any, whether you would rather wait or move forward.
I follow your line, Matt.
I'm good with it.
All right, and with that, I will ask for nominations for chair and vice chair.
I would nominate Matt Brower as chair and Darren Hinckley as vice chair.
I'll second it.
All righty, do we need any other nominations, or is that, I'm guessing that's gonna be the only one. All righty then, with that, we need to vote, I guess, right? So, there, here, Dale,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
and Erica.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion approved, and we will inform Darren of that, and if he decides that, he's not able to do it, we will revisit the issue.
Congratulations. to both
And,
of
back in April there, we had, appointed the subcommittees. Oh, wait a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the appointment of voting member representatives.
To the subcommittees. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that
I
is,
didn't
you
know
are,
if I'm reading two different things there.
no, I guess my instructions were bad, but you're right. So back in April, we also approved and specific voting members to attend various subcommittee meetings. So as part of our annual organizational meeting, I'd like to do that again. I can review what we approved in April and then go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our district operations subcommittee, the voting member representatives that may attend that subcommittee are our NYACD rep and the urban, suburban, rural, non-ag at-large representative. For our municipal assistance subcommittee, the voting member representatives would also be our NYACD and our urban, suburban, rural, non-ag, at-large, voting member representative. For our technical advisory subcommittee, the Grange rep, our Farm Bureau representative, and the at-large farm interest representative were all appointed to those subcommittees, but with the understanding that only two members would need to attend that subcommittee if they so choose. And our state programs advisory committee, we appointed the Grange rep, Farm Bureau rep, and at-large farm interest representative for that subcommittee as well.
Alrighty, I personally would like to keep them the same. I haven't done a great job of participating in the technical advisory and state program advisory committees, but I'd like to. Keep trying to get on board with the meetings, but something always comes up. Any other discussion, any changes that anybody would like to propose?
I believe they're good as they are set.
All right, well, then I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve. So moved.
And I'll second it.
Okay, go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Sure, I'm in the right sheet here. All right, so I think we're up to the recap of the 2024 state committee accomplishments and discussion of the state committee priorities for 2025.
Okay. Let me pull up my slides here. Well, our slides, I should say. This presentation is a combined effort between myself and Tyler Knapp. Okay. So something I want to also do on an annual basis, and this is something that we committed to also back in April when we approved the 2024-2028 State Committee Strategic Plan, is an annual review of our state committee accomplishments and an annual review of our strategic plan to not only evaluate our progress towards meeting each strategic goal, but to kind of identify areas that we want to focus on for the upcoming year and, potentially make any changes to the strategic plan as necessary. So, that's really the basis behind this presentation. And keep in mind, as I go through it, If I were to have listed out every single individual accomplishment that state committee staff have made, throughout 2024, we'd probably be here for a very, very, very long time. So I've condensed down our accomplishments and it's a very good summary of what we've been able to achieve and also, have some ideas on where we should go in 2025. So before really diving into the presentation, I thought it's a good place to start is to kind of refamiliarize ourselves with the mission of our state committee, which is to advance comprehensive natural resources management in partnership with and through the support of local soil and water conservation districts. This is, why we do what we do. So it's always kind of in the background, as we conduct our work out there with soil and water conservation districts. And also want to recognize before kind of diving into the individual strategic goals that we have had some change in last year. In February of 2024, we welcomed a new voting member, Matt Brower, to the committee, who is now filling the New York State Grange representative. And we also, said goodbye to David Brass, who served in that role for several years prior. Ag and Markets and State Committee was also able to hire 2 staff as backfills for the vacant Ag Non-Point Source Program Manager and AEM Coordinator positions. So we welcome Jason Kokinos and Chastity Millard on staff, which was really crucial for us because for a while we were operating a little bit under capacity, and those 2 hires were able to bring us up to full staff capacity. So, we can continue to move our programs forward, in as efficient way as possible. So in 2025, I'm going to continue to work on ushering the new appointments for our at-large members. Specifically, there is a appointment process or going through the process for our farm interest position, as well as our urban, suburban, rural, non-farm interests position. And as always, we are going to continue to look for opportunities to grow our state committee staff. We recognize that in order to better support, soil and water conservation districts, we have to have the appropriate staff as well. So if there's any opportunities that we can find to grow our staff, we're certainly going to be be on the lookout for them. So diving right in, and I'm going to break down this report, I guess, by strategic goal. So the first strategic goal that is written into our plan is, I'll get to the right page, is all focused on conservation district operations. So the main focus of this goal is to support soil and water conservation districts' efforts to build and maintain highly qualified managerial, technical, and administrative staff with the necessary experience and knowledge to fulfill their comprehensive conservation services and other requirements for conservation work. This goal also focuses on encouraging district boards of directors to be leaders in their field and to engage in strategic and annual planning activities to help direct effective conservation services. So in 2024, we saw an increase to the Soil and Water Conservation District line of the EPF. It was previously at 16 million, but in 2024, it received a 1.25 million increase to 17.25, which, as I mentioned earlier, this is an important line item of the EPF because it supports the State Aid to Districts program, which is really important to districts out there because it mainly supports your operations. Our staff reviewed 58 annual plans of work, and this this state committee approved those plans of work for those districts to help guide their work throughout the year. Our regional coordinator staff has attended upwards or over 100 soil and water conservation district board meetings, which their attendance at those meetings is extremely important because it not only gives state committee presence out into the field, but it allows them to better assist the soil and water districts and communicate with our soil and water conservation district partners. Our regional staff continues to actively assist districts to make sure and help them to meet and exceed the state aid to districts requirements. This is done through a number of ways, but primarily conducting trainings so that district boards are up to speed and current with all their required trainings. Our staff are also regularly providing various pieces of information and support to districts to help them, with their operations. We also have a couple of members on our staff who've been out there working to promote recruitment and retention among soil and water conservation districts. And they're doing this by giving presentations by request to district boards who are interested in exploring either growing their staff or trying to figure out ways to retain the staff, the current staff that they have, to keep their operations going. In the past, I think in 2024, and I apologize, guys, if I have my numbers not quite accurate, but in 2024, staff conducted approximately 6 presentations to soil and water districts across the state with an additional 3 requests, maybe more at this point, to conduct presentations in 2025. These presentations have been very well received by soil and water districts. It allows them to make better informed decisions about whether or not they can grow their staff or what they need to do to help retain the staff that are already, on the payroll. It is done in a really creative and unique way with, graphs and information that reflect on, statewide staffing numbers, statewide, salary levels, and then it kind of compares them to our existing, funding programs and what the demand is out there for work. So I think that's been a really key highlight of 2024, and it's helping to bring districts more in line with appropriate staffing levels and, retention needs. So in 2025, some of the priorities that I'd like to focus on in this particular strategic goal, we want to get back to convening an annual state aid to districts meeting where we, or a forum, I guess, where we meet with soil and water districts to talk about the state aid to districts program, get some feedback on potential changes that we could be making to that program. But we also want to work to develop an annual performance measure training for soil and water districts and district boards to not only increase the understanding of the process and the procedures, but to make this kind of like a regular thing. It's very similar to what we do with our competitive cost share programs. We hold informational RFP webinars and plan of work webinars to go through the contract development process and everything that needs to happen there. So this should be no different. We can put on a regular webinar to kind of go through the processes to make sure everybody's up to speed and knows what they have to do going forward. And this is something that we can also record and make available, so districts can reference it throughout the year. We also want to focus on tool development and specifically developing tools for soil and water districts to help track performance measure accomplishments. This is a request that we've gotten from districts a few times. Something to help them track their progress throughout the year will ultimately, make annual reporting at the end of the year a lot easier and more efficient. So I think this is going to be should be a priority for us in 2025. We'd like to continue working with the State University of New York to find better ways to prepare students for careers in the conservation field. This is something that we've already started doing. We've had the opportunity to meet with members of the SUNY Provost's office to kind of start brainstorming different ways that the state committee and districts can interact and work with SUNY to better prepare their students for potential careers with a soil and water conservation district. So very soon, we've been developing a survey that's going to go out to districts to gather some basic background information on how they have interacted with SUNY schools in the past. I think we have some basic questions in there on what the requirements are for particular staff levels in terms of what you look for when you're hiring somebody. We also want to collect information on who has internship programs out there and, you know, how those go. Who do you look to hire people for that internship? All of that information that we get from soil and water districts will be kind of packaged up and sent to folks at SUNY Provost's office, and then we can work together better to find ways to hopefully grow the district, the pool of eligible candidates for district careers. We also want to encourage various opportunities for district mentoring and connection, particularly by organizing regional training opportunities and regional opportunities for district mentoring. And this extends beyond just this strategic goal. I think promoting regional training opportunities for this, for the district operation side of things, but also for like our programs and the technical side of things is going to be highly important. After our statewide managers meeting back in December, I got a couple pieces of feedback from folks who were in attendance. And, this was a strong suggestion from one of those is to make sure we keep up with the regional opportunities, training opportunities, because New York State is very diverse from one end to the other. And statewide trainings are still very, very beneficial, but having those smaller regional trainings can further help to grow, technical capacity and grow district operations. We also want to find ways to provide more administrative support to district staff. This is something we have heard from districts. It's a need that's out there. So a focus for 2025 will be to identify areas where we can help provide that administrative support and figure out how we're going to move forward in doing that. And lastly, succession planning. This is an important step, as folks retire and are looking to kind of pass the baton on to whether it's a hire from outside the district or a promotion from inside the district. There needs to be a plan laid out so that the district can continue to operate the best way possible. So that's something we want to work on, try and figure out how we can better assist districts in that realm. So our next strategic goal is the public relations and outreach. And this is really just to expand public outreach or public awareness and understanding of soil and water conservation districts and support districts in their individual outreach activities. So in 2024, we were able to provide districts with program outreach materials, specifically AEM award signs, various AEM program pamphlets and materials to assist with their local outreach efforts. We distributed over 100 cover crop signs to soil and water conservation districts. Then they're able to go out and install those to not only bring awareness to the actual best management practice, but bring awareness to themselves as well. We distributed the 2023 State Committee AEM Annual Report, which highlights the work of soil and water conservation districts across the state. In 2024, we were able to include 2 district-led presentations at our state committee meetings. Specifically, these were presentations given to highlight the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition and the Black River Watershed Coalition, which are both coalitions of soil and water conservation districts that were supported by this committee. One of our staff members co-wrote a cover crop outreach article that was published in the New York State Conservationist magazine in the October-November 2024 issue. And our staff continue to administer and promote the statewide Agricultural Environmental Management Leopold Conservation Award. This is an excellent opportunity to recognize districts and farms across the state who are going above and beyond in terms of environmental stewardship. And so this is just one way that we can help continue to enhance, the recognition of environmental stewardships on farms. The 2024 recipient of the statewide AEM Leopold Conservation Award was the Raymond family, who operates Sunnyside Farms in Cayuga County. And I believe applications are now being accepted for the 2025 AIM Leopold Conservation Award. So if you have a worthy farm in your county, please consider submitting an application. And lastly, our staff collaborated not only with the Department of Ag and Markets, but with Soil and Water Conservation Districts and other partners to coordinate 2 media events to announce, the first one was to announce the Climate Resilient Farming Program, Round 8 specifically, and the second was to showcase the Hudson Valley Carbon Farming Pilot Project. These events not only brought media on farms to interact with soil and water conservation districts, but they also brought local legislators to the table to see the benefits and the impacts of the programs that are administered by soil and water conservation districts. And it was a really great opportunity not only to highlight that work, but to also reflect on, this is why these programs and soil and water districts need continual support from our legislators. So in 2025, I would like to get back to holding an annual conservation project tour for state committee voting members and principal advisory members. Last year, we weren't able to have a tour, but it is something I would like to focus on for 2025. I think it's a great opportunity to get folks out in the field and really showcase the work of the Soil and Water Conservation District and the partnerships that they have, because it is all so unique across the state. We want to work to annually evaluate and update our statewide web-based GIS storyboard. This is an awesome tool that is available on the department's website that showcases districts' projects and the work that they're able to do. And it is something I think we should develop an annual schedule to make sure we're keeping it fresh and updated and figure out different ways to kind of get the word out there that this tool is available. I mean, everybody likes to poke around on an interactive map, on the internet, click on fun pictures and see what's going on out there. I think that's something we should focus on. We also, going to be distributing our annual report of the state committee and district accomplishments. That always goes to our state committee voting members, districts, New York State legislators, and the governor's office. This year, I'd like to try to commit to get that published a lot sooner than what we did last year. And I do have a goal set to try to get that annual report published by June, if possible. And then kind of as an offshoot of that, we are committed to kind of paring that annual report down, pulling out some applicable highlights and providing those to districts so that they can then use those in whatever way they may feel appropriate. And then we also want to update and expand the outreach materials and tools available to districts. This is, I think we got feedback on this. I'm forgetting at what meeting, but there is a need out there from districts for updated outreach materials. So, this is a focus that we can, or something that we can focus on for 2025. And the first step there is going to be to figure out what the need is, what they're looking for, and how we can move forward with getting it. The next strategic goal is our data management, quantification, measurement, modeling, reporting, and verification of benefits of conservation BMPs. This goal is all about expanding and enhancing data management and our capabilities and what we're able to do with that data. Throughout 2024, we have regularly tracked our program data for the AEM, Ag Non-Point Source, CAFO waste storage, and climate resilient farming programs. Some of those programs we report on a monthly basis to this committee, but also throughout the year, we have provided regular reports to our partners to assist in meeting statewide and local goals and initiatives. Primarily, we're sending data reports to Department of Environmental Conservation and various watershed coalitions. And in 2024, we assisted approximately 15 soil and water conservation districts in the development of data management systems so that they can track and report and evaluate their own program accomplishments within their county. And this is an incredible tool for districts, not only to be able to increase the management of their programs, but to be able to report out on what they've been able to do and what they can do to their local decision makers. So here's where I'm going to pass things off to Tyler, who has put together a really comprehensive overview of what we have been able to accomplish in 2024 through our cost share programs.
All right, thanks, Bethany. As Bethany said, I'm going to kind of go through some of the 2024 successes across the programs. I have quite a few slides, so I'll do my best to kind of stop and pause if there's any questions. As always, feel free to stop, interrupt. I think PJ's got the chat open, so if there's any questions that come through, we can kind of go through them as we go. So today's discussion points, as I mentioned, program accomplishments across the 3 cost share programs, CRF, Ag Non-Point, and CAFO. I do realize CAFO is not a state committee program, but I do just feel it's important to kind of include that data. We're going to do a brief 2024 breakdown of program participants, best management practices and systems, a couple soil and water conservation district success stories, and of course, environmental impacts. So those NP and sediment and the CO2 equivalents. Next slide. Whoop. Okay, so all programs, so across all of the programs, there were 51 contracts that were completed in 2024. 34 soil and water conservation districts were involved in the planning and implementation of those projects and spent an estimated 20,000 hours implementing or providing oversight and technical assistance across those projects. The projects spanned across 64 sub-watersheds or HUC-12s. So a little bit of financial breakdown, $11 million in total contract cost share, or what I'm calling state funds. $9.5 million were specific to like the BMPs themselves. So the cost to actually just implement those BMPs. $1 million is associated with service costs. So that's the district time to implement and engineering and those types of things. And then so we have about 1.1 million in total sponsor investments. So that could be district related state aid funds, maybe potentially a local watershed is contributing money, city of Syracuse, stuff like that. And then almost $8.5 million in total landowner investment to implement those projects. The map is just kind of a scatter of all of the projects completed. So pay attention to those yellow because the next slide, just for the visual context, I just wanted to show how many active projects are going on. So those are active, those were projects completed, not necessarily contracts. So that's why there is a little bit more volume. But now that blue in there that Bethany just pulled up, that is the total active projects ongoing across the state. So just a significant amount of volume that districts are handling right now and the excellent work that is going on across the state. Okay, I feel like I cruised through those really quick. Any questions so far? Yeah, it was about 7 seconds. Okay, we'll keep moving. Thanks, Becky.
Just that, Tyler, thank you. Point of clarification, when you're saying projects, you actually mean like individual farm projects or not contracts, right? These are the amount of projects within the contracts?
Yeah, so that could be basically, I would call them systems. So I don't want to.
Got it.
Okay.
So BMP systems, that's great.
Yep.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay, so this is now specific to CRF and Ag Non-Point. So just some 2024 highlights here. So 46 projects across 88 farms, and we're just about 360 individual conservation practices. I have over 15 projects were implemented and documented with NRCS match, and as well as 10 projects with local district match. Average contract. So I just kind of break down the averages of all of the contracts, just so you can get a visual of how much money the state's putting in, the sponsor is putting in, as well as the landowner. So average contract amount about $200,000, and that's the equivalent of the state share of the project. Sponsors putting in roughly between $20,000 and $30,000, while landowners are contributing over $120,000. So roughly $350,000 for a total contract cost, and then that kind of did the percentages just so you could break it down. This changes significantly year to year. It's just kind of a trend thing that I like to see what's going on. Some years you'll see significant difference in landowner contributions based on the types of projects, or maybe larger equip contracts are going in where there's a little bit more NRCS funds being involved. But nonetheless, broad range of farm types, BMP systems, we got a lot of stuff that's going in. Next slide. Okay, so project participant breakdown. Again, this is specific to overall, and then I do Ag Non-Point and CRF. So let me pull up my notes real quick. So 88 total farms completed projects in 2014, 57 completed projects for Ag Non-Point, 26 for CRF, and then we have 5 CAFO projects that are not in this chart, and those were CAFO dairies. The data shows pretty consistently across all 3 pie charts that dairy, cash crops, and beef were the primary project participants in 2024. But as always, slight variability between programs, between years, depending on projects going in. It's kind of all over the place every year. But I would not surprised by anything that I see here. Any questions before we move along?
I got a question.
Sure.
Any sense of CAFO versus non-CAFO in participation?
In terms of these, in this, for sure, CAFOs are participating in Ag Non-Point, just because I do see it filter through the numbers, but I don't have exact numbers. But that's something we could pull out. Yeah. All right, next slide. Okay, Ag Best Management Practice Systems. So this is a breakdown of the systems that were implemented across last year. Again, variability from year to year. Obviously, some of the prime systems, I guess I would call them, are continuously in there, but again, it can change year to year. But I think we do break it down a little bit in the next slide. So this is kind of just a little bit of a chart just to show what was implemented last year. So this is specific to Ag Non-Point and CRF. 111 total systems were implemented. And then I kind of just did kind of a little bit of a chart to show what was kind of what the major contributors were. So soil health systems, waste storage and transfer systems, livestock heavy use area runoff management systems, and structural erosion control systems were the most prescribed and implemented last year. Again, I know I keep saying this, but there is variability year to year, and Bethany, if you go to the next slide, it kind of breaks that down. I started doing this last year. I don't know if it's overly helpful for us to kind of break this apart a little bit. It's just kind of interesting to see how it changes year to year. But I'm not surprised by the change. Different practice or different systems get implemented at different times, and with the cost of stuff rising, I think you might see delays in certain systems going in. We could take this a step further and just see how long through a contract it takes to implement certain systems and stuff like that. So there is future ways that we might be able to use this data, but it's strictly basically a visual for today. Year-to-year comparison, so decrease in waste storage facilities from 36 to 17 systems this year, from last year to this, from 2023 to 24, let's go with that. And that's significantly down from 49 systems in 2022. So definitely a wide range going on across the last 3 years. Decrease in riparian forest buffers, but still a significant amount going in. Increase in soil health systems, up from 34 from 26 in 2023. And yeah, you kind of can get a feel for how it changes year to year. So nothing stressful about it to me. It's just more of a visual so we can kind of compare.
It'd be interesting to see with a couple of those more popular practices or systems, how they track over the course of 3 or 4 years, whether soil health, for example, if that continues to increase as it becomes more and more, become more aware of it.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, and that's kind of the reason that I started last year. Is and so we could take this a step further and break it down a little bit more by, I guess, program priorities, I would call it, just to see if we are actually following. I'm pretty sure we are following our program priorities, but it's more of that way to kind of check us and see what systems are increasing. Is it actually staying the same over time? But yeah, you're exactly right. That's kind of my thought as well as we get through the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Next slide. Okay, so we go from systems. I think everybody on the call is pretty familiar with how we or how districts break down each BMP system into individual practices, and each system could have a wide variety of practices. I think there's, I guess I'm not really sure, maybe almost 200 individual practices that are available in the BMP catalog across all of the various systems that are out there. And this is basically a snapshot of Ag Non-Point and CRF, the sum of all of the units of all of the individual practices that were implemented across last year. So we have 11 BMP systems implemented. There was more systems than that, but just the various systems, right? And then we have 53 best management practices with varying amount of units across all of those. So I'm just going to do a couple highlights just to kind of bring it full circle a little bit. So we have almost 115,000 square feet of heavy use area protection right up there at the top. Over 17,000 acres of cover crops. Now, I will point out last year it was 6,000. So that's why we're seeing that soil health system really jumping in front last year. The individual practice data is showing that very same thing. Significant increase in the acreage of cover crops. Almost 4,000 acres of tillage management, specifically no-till, strip-till. 60,000 feet of fencing, or almost 12 miles, was installed last year. 19 waste storage facilities, and collectively over 65 acres of buffers. So that's riparian forest buffers and riparian herbaceous buffers. So if we put that in terms of a 30-foot buffer, almost 18 miles of buffer. Pretty significant.
And forest buffer is actually higher than herbaceous buffer. I think we've seen that trend for the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, I would say forest buffers are taking center stage more than the herbaceous cover in recent years. Yeah. Any questions on individual practices or? Okay, moving on. So this is, like I said, I was just going to kind of throw in the CAFO program. I know it's not a state committee program, but this just kind of gets a feel for a little bit. We had 4 projects implemented or completed last year on 5 farms and 23 practices. Again, the scope of the CAFO program is very narrow, so that's why you're seeing very specific, maybe some smaller data sets here. And it is winding down the first couple of rounds of that program. Again, average contract stuff is there, so about $350,000 average contract. Sponsors, again, less than 1%, probably $4,000 on average. And landowners, you're seeing significantly more on these projects, right? So 60% or almost $550,000, $500,000 on these projects. And I would venture a guess and safely say that might be because of more NRCS funding coming through, EQIP dollars working to maybe do these waste storage facilities that are being implemented. So total average project cost, just under $1 million. So definitely quite a bit more than some of our other programs. And I just kind of threw in some of the breakdown over there for the individual practices and the sum of units. So 4 waste storage facilities, a couple of waste transfers, and quite a bit of fence. Next slide. Okay, so there is a lot to talk about here. I honestly hesitated kind of pulling in some of the environmental impacts right now. In the process of working with partners at DEC, specifically Cassie Davis, on updating some of our CAS models. So for those that don't know, this is kind of just where how we estimate our impact, right? So the Chesapeake assessment and scenario tool has been around. It is well vetted, and we rely on that to basically help us make estimates across the state. The previous version that I used the last couple of years was CAS 19, but I'm working with Cassie to kind of draw in the new coefficients. So I will preface this a little bit. I did try to pull in some numbers just so I had something to present on, but I am not confident that they won't change. I believe they will change a little bit. So we are just going to call them draft right now. And as I get better data in the coming weeks, maybe during the next meeting or whenever it kind of lines up, I can kind of report back and get a little bit better set of reduction numbers. For climate related reductions, we rely on Comet Planner. That is a USDA and Colorado State University program. And I'm honestly probably due to update those as well. So we might see some changes there. And with the climate stuff, I think I always preface this a little bit that we are still missing some practices. It's only getting better as time goes on. So as we and our partners kind of get better coefficients for various practices, we're only kind of improving as we go on here a little bit. And then obviously I try to bring it to real world scenarios, right? So so how many metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent do we have? What does that equal in terms of like usable data, in terms of number of annual energy consumption per household and stuff like that. So I'll kind of break it apart. I just really wanted to stress that it is draft, but I did want to come to the table today, at least with something. So next slide.
Tyler, for these models or planners, do you know if the transfer function is used within them?
The transfer, what do you mean?
Like for plugging the data in to relate the environmental data to a percentage?
Yes.
So it is a transfer function.
Yeah, it's based on land cover, and there's a percentage of that various land covers. So that's why, and it changes year to year. Well, every couple of years. So it's kind of a moving target for us because we have 200 practices that we're trying to make fit in a set of 30 maybe coefficients that are kind of well established. And So it is challenging. And that's why I think you'll find me, once we get a good data set, I'll run with it for a couple of years before updating it again. So I am in the middle of that with DEC right now.
Thank you for taking that question.
Yeah, no worries. So this is kind of the phosphorus, the nitrogen, and the sediment reductions. Again, these are draft, but I think over time, as our coefficients get better, I've talked with some colleagues, and I think we might start seeing patterns where historically the coefficients or the reductions were a little bit more on the generous side. And as we refine these a little bit more, they're getting better and better. So reductions, I don't want to say are going down because that sounds terrible, because we are doing a lot of good work, but the data is getting better. So we might see decreases over time. But we are also seeing increases because we keep completing projects, if that makes sense. So about 30,000 pounds per year of phosphorus, 300,000 pounds per year of nitrogen. And always the big one is sediment, and that's just under 9 million pounds a year. Sediment is a big one to me because it also carries all of that, the pounds of phosphorus. So we're working on a new tool, like I said, and part of the new tool that is kind of being established, Cassie Davis is actually she really has done a good job on this kind of new calculator. And the next slide kind of breaks down the phosphorus. I only have phosphorus just because I wanted to give more visual of kind of what I call the heavy hitters of the reductions. So for phosphorus reductions, waste storage facilities, and the corresponding nutrient management that goes in conjunction with those waste storage facilities, those are big hitters for phosphorus reductions. And then obviously we have cover crops and more of the soil health practices following up there shortly behind to contribute to our reductions. Again, there's very specific numbers on there for the pounds. Those are definitely going to change a little bit, but the general pie chart itself, I think we're going to see the same pattern, right? It's those practices that are coming through on the phosphorus side. And I apologize for being kind of drafty, and this is going to change, but I do want to get as accurate as possible, especially for our paper copy annual report, because I think it's important that we stay current on our coefficients. Next slide. Okay, so more on the climate side. So basically focusing CO2 savings. Again, we don't have all of the practices. So like the prime example is roofing covers. There isn't an easy way for me to quantify reductions aside from maybe taking what, as part of our application phase, we do require estimates, but I always find it better to kind of just run our own. So there is possibility moving forward, but for today, we're just over 9,000 metric tons of CO2e. And like I said, let's break that down into a little bit more digestible data, right? So that's 2,100 passenger cars driven per year. So you're taking them off the road. 23 million miles. That seems pretty significant. I don't know how those 2,100 cars are driving that, but we'll go with that. 1,200 the energy used for single family homes. So 2,100 of those, or 1 million gallons of gasoline consumed. Any questions on the environmental impacts?
Tyler, as this data is honed and refined, I mean, this is a total geek out session. This is so cool. You know, does the state committee envision seeing this data being utilized in scientific publications and research to corroborate with studies?
Interesting.
I mean, this is awesome data.
Yeah, the possibility is there. Internally, I'm not sure, but I'm sure. So So all of the progress that gets reported to us through conservation districts, ultimately, I take that data set and I essentially transfer that to DEC. And DEC runs their own version of reductions, and that gets reported to EPA ultimately.
Nice.
So what's happening in between there, I'm not sure, but certainly the possibility is there. I'm sure there is lots of studies going on, but especially with the Chesapeake Bay, like, so we do rely heavily on their types of data, not so much on the climate side, that's comments, but yeah. So I feel like that was a weird way to say I don't know.
Well, we've in the past provided our program data to research institutions that are conducting research on their own and do take into account, the work that has been done through our programs, and worked it into whatever various, publications and work that they're doing. So we have that ability as well to share our data with folks who are conducting research out there.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, actually. Bethany, I forgot, I do have one more slide that kind of does a pie chart again of just the heavy hitters for BMPs in terms of climate. So nutrient management front and center again. The more we can better time our nutrient applications, right place, prescribe practices specific to soil health reduction or erosion reduction and stuff like that, the more impact we're going to see climate-wise. Remember, nutrient management planning isn't just farmstead related things or soil health. It could be a buffer along the stream, increase a buffer. So if we're planting trees, yet again, you're getting a reduction. Cover crop shouldn't be a surprise, right? Those soil health practices, the tillage management there. So the planting trees, always going to be significant reductions. And I think so there are a lot more practices that make up this pie chart. I just kind of reduced it down so it's a little bit more digestible, or else it would have been not really legible. But another big one, wetlands. I think we talked about that a little bit earlier, or internally here we did. That is another big one. So, yeah, sure.
That 590 management, is that the soil health management that's associated with the storages that got implemented in 2024?
Right. So, yeah. So I think that data set is showing through here. We could remove that and focus on some of the more structural, I don't know how to say structural practices in this, but you get what I mean. So we may, in some instances, we make the assumption that because a waste storage facility requires a 590 plan to be implemented or established, that we can kind of like bring that in as well. You could talk me out of that situation too, but it's just something that we have.
And what about the storage itself, if it's not covered?
Right. So if a storage is not covered, obviously, we would probably be adding to emissions there. It is one of those tough things. I'm hopeful that because we're doing nutrient management, we're offsetting it, right? So if we're using those nutrients appropriately and putting it like the practices associated to that, I don't know. That's where the data's got to get better. That's where we have to start figuring out, because otherwise, yeah.
So your numbers are not a net number. It's a sum of the BMPs that have a reduction estimate.
Sure. Yep. Good question.
But two different things.
Yeah. So stay tuned on this. You will probably see me pull up these slides again in a future meeting, just to give a little bit more refined data set.
Issue a little bit on uncovering lagoons. You also have the issue of where they're using manure storages, they're getting a higher amount of fertilizer from the farm and reducing off-farm man-made fertilizer purchases in most all cases. And that's not even tracked and figured out. So there's a lot of nuances to this that we still haven't got a hold of that are, we have a greater impact, I think, than we realize.
I completely agree. There's a lot that I don't want to say that we don't know. We know, obviously, that we're making those impacts. It's just we don't have the necessary tools, I guess, at this point. So hopefully soon. Any other questions before we kind of jump into some project highlights?
Tyler, are there any plans to publicize this information beyond our community here? I know you're familiar with a lot of the discussions in the Finger Lakes about that we're not, from some in the community, that we're not, agriculture's not doing enough. And I would say this is a powerful statement or some data here that says we're doing a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point, Dan. So this some version of this will be published in our the state committee's annual report. They could share it around, and I'm gonna leave that to Bethany, but maybe coming weeks and months. But yeah, as we refine this and get more, I don't want to say accurate, but as it just gets a little bit better, we could absolutely work with you to kind of put together a two-pager pamphlet or something to have in district offices, or at least to feed conservation districts for those types of meetings coming up, for sure.
That answers the question. You've probably seen that before. This is the 2024 snapshot of the cumulative impacts, but Tyler and company, and when districts ask, this is the data that they get and can summarize. And Tyler, right, if it's in the form of a two-pager, or if it's an assessment of impact in a PowerPoint presentation for a local stakeholder group, we've always been drawing from this program data.
Thanks, Greg. All right, let's jump to some program highlights. So I did this last year, maybe the year before as well. I didn't have a whole ton of time to throw in a bunch of different projects. I'm hoping in upcoming meetings we can actually get some districts to actually present a little bit more in depth on projects, successful projects, and just go through the complexities of implementing some of these systems. So this is a Ag Non-Point Round 27 that was implemented last year in Yates. Yates County provided me with these photos of a ag chemical mixing facility in Kiyuka Lake, and it was at an orchard and vineyard operation. So you can kind of see the before and after images. It looks like it used to be just kind of a box trailer with a drop inlet right there or something. And then the after is definitely some significant improvements. We've got more of a contained structure, a building, an eye wash station or shower there, and they can kind of have year-round storage and stuff like that, a little bit more secure, and just a little bit safer. Orange County, so this is an Ag Non-Point Round 29. We have an access control system with a pretty significant grass waterway there, a lot of fence and some drainage. So it looks like it was going through a pasture. I don't have too much detail on this, but definitely some erosion and definitely some water flowing, some concentrated flow there, with some improvements of better drainage. And definitely having that grass waterway to filter out some of, and hopefully keep that soil and sediment intact and input. Next one. Franklin County. So Franklin County provided me with this Ag Non-Point Round 24. This was a waste storage and transfer system. Looks like completely concrete. Significant amount of concrete, actually. A few pump trucks go in there doing implementation process. And I don't have any befores of this one, but just looks like an overall great structure. And last but not least, we have a CRF round 5. This is in Seneca. And this was an erosion control system or structural erosion control system with that long grass waterway diversion and some drainage. You can clearly see the difference between the before and after photos. Looks like it was definitely needed and not too far from the lake. I think that was it, Bethany.
Yes, it is.
Look at that.
Good job. Any questions before we go forward?
Not a question, but a comment. Both presentations, phenomenal.
We're still going.
We're still going.
Yeah.
We're still going. I mean, in both state committee strategic priorities and these accomplishments. And I know as an advisory member today, I'm going to share this with the principals here at Avenue Markets, and I hope the same for other advisory members to share this with their principal members and others who would be interested.
Yeah, and to that point, I can put this presentation in an email, to our advisory members with that suggestion as well, to further get the word out there to folks. But I made the decision to have Tyler do this, really comprehensive report as part of our data management strategic goal, really to not only highlight what we're able to accomplish with our current database, like tracking system, which is like 20 plus years old, but to also showcase what we could do more if we had an upgraded, updated data management system. So it kind of led me into what I want to focus on for 2025, and that is to really push for an updated data management system. Tyler has done some really great background work and has worked with our partners, DEC, who not too long ago went through an update of their data management system. Routinely is working with, watershed coalitions, on how they track their data. We really need to invest some time and update our system to, develop a cloud, preferably a cloud-based data management system that's not only going to allow for greater data security, but more quality controls, more timely updates, direct data input. I think having done it myself, Jason's done it, Tyler's done it, inputting data into our current database is time consuming because you have to enter every individual piece of data, and that's a huge time sink. And if there's a way we can streamline that, then we need to find a way to do it. But not only, having an updated system is really going to allow us to work better with these tools and models that are out there, which Tyler, I'm so glad you highlighted on the fact that these numbers are draft and they're changing, because that is also, something that's written into our strategic plan, is to continue to find and work with models that are going to really highlight the impacts of what is implemented through our programs. So in addition to working on an updated database, this is something that Tyler's also been kind of spearheading, but we want to continue to grow our own capacity as well as district's capacity in the geospatial, data management realm and graphics generation. So I think there's been a slew of ArcGIS trainings that have recently been made available to districts to get them trained up on the recent updates to that software. Maps and being able to map and create maps in ArcGIS are really important to soil and water districts in the work that they do. So we want to make sure that everybody's up to speed, and getting that training out to everybody is going to be highly important for 2025. Moving on to our fourth strategic goal, and that is our comprehensive natural resource management, technical services, and program delivery goal. This is probably the biggest strategic goal of it is the biggest strategic goal of our plan in, number of pages anyway. because it spans from includes all of our programs and building technical capacity and program delivery. So with this goal, we focus on providing opportunities to districts to achieve a high level of environmental stewardship across all land uses and types through science-based comprehensive natural resource management and to support district technical capacity. Some of the highlights from 2024, and again, these are pared down. We'd have many more slides, if I were to try and include every single little, accomplishment, but we were able to expand and enhance the AEM-based management program to increase investment in core and emerging cost-effective best management systems. For AIM-based program year 18, we saw an increase in participation from 52 districts to now 53. So we're almost there to 100% participation. And also, just as we discussed earlier today, we are proposing some significant changes to the AIM-based program for year 19 to increase funding and lengthen, contract term, again, to really make sure we are working to increase, the investment and make it possible for more best management practices to go in. Our team has worked to increase the participation in the AIM Planner Certification Program. There are now 51 total AIM certified planners. 47 of those planners are publicly listed in the AEM Certified Planner Directory, which is posted on the department's website. And Ron will talk a little bit more about that program coming up. Our state committee staff co-instructed and supported the 7 New York State Department of Environmental Conservation 4-hour erosion and sediment control courses, working with soil and water conservation districts. This committee supported the development of the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition and the Black River Watershed Coalition, all established by partnering soil and water conservation districts within those watersheds. And we had some pretty significant program rollouts in 2024, starting with Climate Resilient Farming Program Round 8, which was announced in April of 2024. This round of funding was bolstered with funding from the USDA Climate Smart Commodities Program. And in response to that round, we received 107 applications and were able to award more than $33 million to support 70 projects on 184 farms. We, at the end of last year, were able to announce round 30 of the Agricultural Non-Point Source Pollution Abatement and Control Program. This round of the Ag Non-Point Source Program was bolstered with funding from the Clean Water, Clean Air, Green Jobs Bond Act, allowing us to make $25 million available to support projects, which is the most that we've been able to make available through that program, over the history of the program. And, that round just closed yesterday. So we're still trying to get some preliminary numbers, but I'm sure we'll have those at an upcoming meeting. And the third kind of major program that we were able to roll out in 2024 was actually a new program that was developed to support CAFO farms to further enhance the reduction and prevention of non-point source nutrients, as well as reduce methane and nitrous oxide emissions. So this was kind of our first attempt at rolling out a program that really coupled water quality benefits as well as, climate change mitigation benefits. So through the CAFO Enhanced Nutrient and Methane Management Program, that was announced in June of 2024, and we were able to award a total of $15.8 million to 14 soil and water conservation districts to complete 22 total projects. Those awards were made not too long ago, and we're actively working through the plan of work and contract development phase. So some areas that we'd like to focus on in this particular strategic goal for 2025. We want to continue to expand the planning priorities that are covered by AIM, specifically work to expand climate resiliency, forestry and agroforestry and nearshore aquaculture. This will help us to increase soil and water conservation district's ability to assist the diverse agricultural community. We've already started some of this work in January, but we also want to work with districts to continue to encourage them to develop AIM strategic plans that include comprehensive natural resource management and environmental goals. So start considering things in like climate change mitigation, climate adaptation, and other emerging priorities in addition to water quality goals. And as you heard last week, Chaz and our regional staff were able to coordinate regional AEM strategic plan meetings with districts to kind of get that ball rolling. Another thing we want to focus on in 2025 is we want to work on developing technical tools, planning and implementation guidelines, and trainings for forestry, agroforestry systems, climate preparedness, adaptation, and again, nearshore aquaculture for kind of the agricultural side of things. But we also want to focus on developing tools and planning and implementation guidance for forest management, afforestation, and reforestation work in the non-ag realm, because that we recognize that that is an area that is quickly expanding for soil and water conservation districts, and we want to work to build capacity so districts can take on some of those projects. Additionally, I mentioned this earlier, but we want to continue to work to provide direct training opportunities to district staff, certainly through our statewide events such as the Con Skills Workshop, Water Quality Symposium, but maybe start thinking on how we can build out regional training opportunities for districts as well to help build that technical capacity. Some other priorities in this area for 2025. I know this has been an issue that CDEA has kind of headed up, but we'd like to support that effort and continue to work with partnering agencies to streamline the permitting process and work in any way that we can to make that easier for districts to get that work done. We want to continue to build and expand on current program concepts and work to develop new program concepts that will support district work in the forest management, afforestation, and reforestation realm. And by doing so, that will allow us to support the goals and actions written into the Climate Action Council scoping plan that will allow us to address agricultural and forestry related climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies. I think we've already kind of accomplished this last bullet, but we want to continue to assess the AIM-based technical assistance funding needs and to increase the AIM-based funding levels to keep up with district staff capacity, increasing agricultural conservation opportunities and challenges. So for round 19, we will be providing an increased funding amount and a longer contract term. Over the course of that implementation of that round, we're going to keep assessing the technical assistance needs out there and make changes accordingly for the next round of funding. And last set of priorities for this particular strategic goal, we want to continue to improve upon all elements of the contract management. We recognize that contract delays, payment delays, and all of that is a real challenge for soil and water conservation districts. So in 2025, we're committed to trying to work to make that process a little bit more efficient and review our current processes for contract development, contract management, claim for payment, review and processing to make those more streamlined. We've also started to work on trying to figure out how we could better standardize our cost share program requirements, where possible. The number of cost share programs that we as a state committee, our staff administer has grown exponentially over the years. And, we've heard from districts that, is there any way we can make the requirements the same from program to program? I think it's important to recognize that all of our programs are unique in that they all have individual goals and objectives. So while we might not be able to make them all, the same, we are trying to figure out ways to standardize some of our requirements in the programs and make it a little bit easier for districts to administer. In 2025, we want to promote the Conservation Approval Authority for districts, and that we have this program available for districts and district staff who are interested, and also look to expand the course offerings that we have through that program. So districts can achieve and maintain, authorization to design and certify, conservation-related BMPs for our state grant purposes. Kind of as should be, I guess, a sub-bullet of that, but along those same lines, I think we'd like to focus on developing a training module to highlight available technical certifications, such as the CAA program, so districts know what's out there, if there's a staff member who's interested in obtaining a certification, they can see what's available and also the procedure that they need to follow to obtain that certification. All right, our last strategic goal written in the plan is our cooperative conservation goal, which is to promote cooperative partnerships among federal, state, local agencies, and educational institutions to advance common natural resource conservation goals. So in 2024, we were able to host 5 regional managers meetings with our soil and water conservation district partners to provide an opportunity to communicate and connect with districts and district boards. Those happened in June of 2024. We were also able to host a statewide district managers meeting in December of 2024, which allowed managers and district board members from across the state to gather in one place and again, allowed for opportunities to communicate. We had some really great discussions surrounding prevailing wage and state aid Part C projects, engineering concerns, district training. We had an excellent panel of district managers talk about recruitment and retention successes. All of that information was really great, and it was just an awesome opportunity to connect with everyone. State committee staff regularly throughout 2024 participated in advisory member and partnership meetings. And in 2024, we were able to utilize our DEC State Committee Ag and Markets MOU with the DEC Division of Water to fund a number of watershed-based projects. This is a really great tool that allows us to kind of directly allocate funding from DEC to soil and water conservation districts, primarily watershed coalitions, to support the work that they're doing within a broader watershed, which not only supports soil and water districts, but also supports the goals written into various watershed-based management plans across the state. And in 2024, we finalized an MOU with the DEC Division of Lands and Forests, similar to the structure that we have with the MOU between the Division of Water. But that MOU was finalized to allow funding to be suballocated from DEC to Ag and Markets and the State Committee, and ultimately out to soil and water districts to address landscape scale forestry issues, particularly tree planting, forest restoration, climate resiliency, etc. This MOU was necessary to be put in place so the two agencies could share the climate smart commodities funding that was awarded, so that we could then support our climate resilient farming program. But we're hoping to identify future opportunities where we can utilize this MOU to support work out on the ground. So for 2025, we want to continue to hold our annual regional state committee managers meetings. We're working with staff to kind of come up with a schedule for that. I would also like to focus on updating our state committee advisory member representative list and make sure that that is up to date. So we are getting and reaching out to the appropriate advisory members, making sure everyone's aware of our meetings and when they're happening and such. We are currently working on renewing the MOU that I just talked about that we have with the DEC Division of Water. That is going to be expiring actually in a couple of years, but we started the process to renew it to allow for a greater dollar amount to be shared, and we also are extending the time frame that's written into that MOU. So that work has started, and hopefully we will wrap that up soon. So will allow us to further support watershed-based projects across the state. And in 2025, in addition to our other, making sure we're maintaining and holding regular subcommittee meetings, we are going to be focusing on starting up the district operations subcommittee to primarily work on getting that district operations manual updated. So that is going to be a focus for us in 2025. With all that said, I think we've had a very successful 2024, and I am looking forward to moving forward in 2025 on all of these projects, but also, in addition to the stuff that I just reflected on in my presentation, there are a number of bullets in our strategic plan that, is work being done on a day-to-day basis by any of the state committee staff in the course of their regular job duties. So we're going to continue all of those efforts, making sure that we are keeping current with all of our annual commitments. But, I think taking on these additional priorities is really going to move this committee in a forward direction. Any questions?
I just want to say that a lot of very good information, well put together. And I think that after looking at the map of all the active projects out there and looking at the photos of what's been done, I think it's really important that we do try to schedule a tour for the voting members and advisory members so that, we can actually see these things in the field. And I think that would be really beneficial. But very well done by Bethany and Tyler.
Thank you. And I guess I should ask, is there anything additional that you guys would like us to be focusing on? Probably should have led to that, maybe.
Well, I think, I think there was quite a bit there. I don't know. Yeah. I can't think of anything more you could add to it, really, myself, but someone else may have some ideas, but I thought it was pretty detailed. Is there any other comments, questions? Well, that looks like we are up to a break.
Yes, very good. So I think we are scheduled for a 15-minute break. So let's see, 11:55. We can come back at 12:10.
Well, I had a schedule besides.
I know. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you in 15 minutes. We are all set. Welcome back, everyone.
All right, we had a discussion during the break. We are going to move the Ag non-point source pollution abatement control program amendments up to now, because I believe Erica has to leave at some point. So we want to make sure we get that done. So we'll go forward with that.
Okay. As long as you're okay.
Happy to. Thank you, guys.
Oh, let me pull them up before you start. Hang on, Jason. There we go. Okay, ready. All set.
All right. Okay, for the committee's information, there's 11 amendments today, which is more than normal, but we're running up on the
contract end date for round 27, and there's also one more round 26 in here. We'll take our time as we need to ask me and the district AEAs, the district and the AEA's questions as needed. I will start off. There's no staff approved amendments that we did this month. In Region 1 for amendments for state committee consideration, I'll start with Cattaraugus County. This is around 26, C701404. Conewango Creek Ag Non-Point Source Control Project. The district is looking for a 1-year, 6-month extension. There was a previous time extension for this contract for a landowner change, and there was a higher than expected quote, and they then did a rebid for the project. The project was also delayed by archaeology from MRCS. The waste storage system on the farm is in progress, and the solids leachate control system is currently out for bid. The district is just requesting an extension of 1 additional construction season to cover these unexpected delays and to complete contract reporting requirements. Victor Giacomo, the Region 1 AEA, supports the request but refers to state committee.
Any questions or discussion on this amendment? If not, motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second? Okay, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica? Okay, motion approved.
Very good. So we'll move to Region 2, start with Cortland County Soil and Water Conservation District. This is a round 27, C701454, Bean Livestock Heavy Use Area Runoff Management System. This project is a 1-farm project, and they are looking for a 1-year and 1-month no-cost time extension to complete the livestock HUA system. The primary challenge for this project was obtaining contractor bids. The design and planning for the project has been completed, but during the initial bidding, only 1 quote was obtained during the solicitation. So the farm is looking for a more favorable bid, and they have last month had a showing for contractors to place their bids. So the district is just seeking an extension of 1 more construction season, again, to complete the implementation of this HUA system and do the contract reporting requirements. PJ Emmerich, the Region 2 AEA, supports the request, but refers to state committee.
Any questions or discussion? Motion to approve.
I like motion.
Second? Do we have a second?
Sorry, second.
Okay, we'll go to voting. All, Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay. The amendment is approved. And to Yates County.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So I'll mention also the page numbers that were on the materials that we gave you, just if you wanted to browse them as you're looking. But Yates County Soil and Water Conservation District is seeking an extension on a round 27 project, C701489. This has been pages 20 to 38 of the material provided. The district is looking for a 1-year extension on this round 27 project. The project included 10 farms. 3 of them are behind schedule. The primary difficulty for the 3 farms was obtaining engineering plans in a timely manner. However, at the time of this amendment request, plans have been completed and construction has begun on those 3 farms. So the district is looking just to finish it up with 1 additional construction season to get these 3 systems on these 3 farms finalized. PJ Emmerich, Region 2 AEA, supports the request, refers to the state committee.
Any questions or comments on this one? If not, motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved.
Very good. Next one is also from Yates County and also a round 27, number C701490, Canandaigua Lake Watershed AEM Phase 10 implementation. So this is on pages 39 to 48 of the material that you were given. Additional time, 1 year, is requested from the district to complete the livestock heavy use area runoff management system. Reason being that last fall, a staff amendment was approved for a BMP change. It changed from
stream corridor and shoreline management system to this, barnyard focused livestock HUA runoff management system. This required additional survey and design work to be completed. However, construction is underway, but winter weather made the completion of this BMP system unfeasible in the original contract date that was set. So the district is, again, just looking for one more construction season to complete the project on the farm and submit reporting requirements.
Any questions or comments? If not, motion to approve.
I'll make motion.
Second.
Second.
All righty, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you very much. So we will move on to Region 3 now. First, Conservation District we will cover with the Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation District looking for an extension on a Round 27 project, number C701457, the Mark DeGraw Farm Covered Barnyard. This is on pages 49 to 57 of your provided material. So the district is looking for just a 10-month, no-cost time extension on a Round 27 project on one farm. And all BMPs were constructed on this farm and it's, essentially complete. However, upon completion of what they originally set out to do, they found that an access road was also needed and additional drainage BMPs were also needed. This just provided a nice diagram map for you guys to review, showing where these would be. So they're just looking to continue one more extension season so they can add these modifications onto what is needed to complete the system and do right by the barnyard. So Scott Fickbaum, the Region 3 AEA supports the request, but refers to state committee.
So are we looking for an extension to January, or are we looking for? I think that's what we're looking at, right?
What's the new end date for that one? I think it got missed.
I did miss that one. I apologize.
If you have available.
Yes. New end date would be the end of this calendar year, December 31st, 2025.
Okay.
My apologies.
All right. Yeah, if we can just have that added in there. Any other questions or comments? If not, motion to approve. Was that a motion? I think we need a second.
Is there a cat?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
All right, motion approved.
Who did we say the motion was approved by originally? First.
I think Erica, was that, did you make the motion to approve?
Okay.
Yes, I did, and I did not look, so I'm not sure.
Thank you. Got it.
Yeah, I thought it was in there with the background noise.
Put that all in the thing.
All right.
Okay, we're at Rensselaer County.
We're cruising. Thank you, guys. So Rensselaer County Soil and Water Conservation District is also looking at extension on the Round 27 project, C701481, originally entitled the Breeze Holly Dairy BMP. This is on pages 58 to 71 of the material provided. Reminder, this was tabled at our last meeting. This committee was looking for some additional information, which we worked together with the district to provide for you. So the district is seeking a 3-year no-cost time extension on this Round 27 project. It includes a waste storage and transfer system and an access control system. They ran into several delays on the project's original timeline, one of them being a year-long delay in getting a finalized contract from Ag and Markets, followed by the sale of the farm in spring of 2023. There are new landowners of the farm. They are experienced dairy farmers that have another CAFO 15 minutes down the road. And they have since engaged in productive collaboration with the district, NRCS, and have been transferred the EQIP grant of $417,000. And they have also begun some groundbreaking of removing the original storage to, show progress despite, being a bit behind on the schedule for this. So They are actively seeking contractor bids and applying for more EQIP funding for engineering expenses. An extension to March 1st of 2028 would allow the project to utilize the USDA funds and finish implementation that was originally scheduled. So Scott Bickbaum, the Region 3 AEA, supports the request, but refers to State Committee.
All right, any questions or comments, discussion?
I don't remember ever doing a 3-year extension. Is there any legal issues with us doing a 3-year extension?
So you're correct. I mean, at least in my awareness, I don't think we've ever approved a time extension of this length before. And I don't believe there's specific legal concerns. Rather, we always caution districts we try not to go beyond a 5-year contract term, because that gets into a higher risk situation and could prompt a deeper review of the state comptroller's office when they're reviewing the revised contract, and could potentially, be at risk for not being approved by them. I've, in my time here, never experienced that before, even with, extensions that have gone beyond the 5-year contract term. It's not to say that it won't happen, but I suppose there is an increased risk of it not being approved, outside of this department, because when contracts are developed and when they're amended, formally amended, they have to go through the same level of review that new contracts do. They have to be reviewed by counsel's office here in the department, and also by the Attorney General's office and the Office of the State Comptroller. So,
Okay, good. I support the contract. I just had never seen one that long, and I just wanted to be sure we weren't going to get someone coming back later and saying we couldn't approve that long.
Well, and we had a pretty good discussion on this at the last meeting, Dale, because of the fact that it started in 2021 and now, we were concerned about why the delays, but I think, now we've got the answers to that, because some of the information was missing at the last meeting, but I'm hoping, and Scott, I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but I'm assuming that even if they don't get the EQIP funding for the engineering expenses, they'll still be able to move forward with it.
Yeah, because there was income funding.
you should be in Syracuse.
Maybe you
Yep.
need to say
Yeah,
Scott.
I'm not entirely sure of that, Matt. I don't know if Megan's on the line to answer what they would do if their EQIP engineering funding did not come through. Like they said, they have, they've already decommissioned and I think removed the old storage. So I believe things are kind of underway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they've got the majority of the EQIP money already switched over. The engineering would be a smaller portion of it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's not something that's gonna throw a further delay into it, but hopefully that's a minor issue.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica? I think that was
I
an
think that was nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Motion approved, and Franklin County Region 4.
Okay, very good. Moving to Region 4, we're gonna start with Franklin County Soil and Water Conservation District, requesting an extension on a Round 27 project titled, or numbered C701458 at the Trumbull Farm in Franklin County, New York. This is pages 72 to 90 of the material that was provided. The district is seeking a 1-year no-cost time extension to to complete the project, which included a covered barnyard heavy use area, waste storage facility, and silage leachate control system. Construction of the covered barnyard and waste facility is completed, but they are waiting on final certification from the engineer and as-built drawings. There's also one additional component to the BMPs to add a laneway that connects the covered barnyard to the milking parlor. This couldn't be completed due to winter weather, so they're looking for that last portion to be completed for those two systems. And then the third component, Silas leachate control system, is scheduled for completion this summer. They have materials and contractors already secured. So district is looking for an extension of one construction season to complete these last BMP components and get plans and certifications in hand and complete the reporting requirements. Ryan Cunningham, the Region 4 AEA, supports the request but refers to state committee.
Any questions or discussions? Motion to approve?
So moved.
I make a motion. Okay.
All right, so we got first and second.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. We'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica? I mean, Erica, you,
Aye. Sorry, is my audio not working? Okay.
sometimes you come through, sometimes you don't.
Okay.
Yeah, the connection's
aye.
not great.
Yeah, so, all right, motion approved. Lewis County.
Awesome. Okay, moving to Lewis County, we have two from them. The first one is around 27, contract number C701463, the Cozy Knoll Farm Implementation Project. The district is seeking, and this is on pages 91 to 104 of your provided material. The district is seeking a 1-year no-cost time extension to complete one project on one farm in the Black River watershed, which included livestock heavy use runoff system, access control, silage leachate control. To date, the only thing that's been designed was the livestock HUA system. During design on or near the barnyard, they found a USACE wetland that had to then be delineated, and design would have to be, tailored around where that footprint of that wetland was. The location and the delineation was accepted by the Army Corps, and they are moving forward. However, that stalled things out enough that the district is requesting one additional construction season to complete the system and submit reporting requirements.
Any questions or comments? If not, motion to approve.
Move to approve, please.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
All right, motion approved. Lewis County,
Very good.
again.
Moving on to the second Lewis County amendment request. So this is also around 27, C701465, Eastview Grain Implementation Project. This is a cover crop project, and the district is seeking just a 1-year no-cost time extension to commit to the 3 consecutive years required for implementing cover crops. The farm is behind on 1 year due to their first year not having appropriate equipment to get the job done. So first year that they did cover crops, they used a high boy seeder over standing corn. The second year they did drone broadcast seeding. And that is the plan for the third year going forward, anticipating this extension. So the district is just looking for 1 more year to commit it this growing season and then finish up the contract reporting requirements.
Any questions or comments? If not, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved.
Thank you both. We are moving now to Region 5, Southern New York. The first conservation district to put in a request was Orange County Soil and Water Conservation District on a round 27, number C701477, the Wallkill Watershed Farm Runoff Control Project. This is on pages 119 to 139 of your provided information. This was a larger multi-farm project, so the district did provide a summary essay of what's going on with each project. So there has been 2 farms that have completed, 2 of 10 have completed, 7 I got this mixed up. There were 7 farms in the original contract. 2 have completed their contracted BMP requirements. 1 has dropped out, and 4 are experiencing delays. 1 farm has substantially completed the stream crossing project, but they ran into some permitting slowdowns, and by the time they got their permit, the creek bed had dried up enough that it delayed implementation. So they're looking for 1 more construction season to complete the last parts of the stream restoration, and it's also like a riding facility. So I think it's also like a horse riding facility. They're implementing some trails and riding areas. So they need to complete that. So that would be 1 farm. Another farm's barnyard project was delayed due to the late receipt of grant funds. They were already implementing a pole barn on site when they finally did get their contract. And there was just some personal circumstances in 2024 that just delayed it enough that they are looking to push construction out 1 more year and to complete that. A different farm had some initial uncertainty about the farm's future to put in a solids leachate and control system. However, they have pursued farm easement, purchase of development rights program. So now the farm is actually looking more intensely into implementing this, and they have reached out to contractors to get a favorable quote. The last farm that was not able to complete their their BMP system on time ran into challenges with design of secondary fuel storage and also and a compost facility. The details are given in your materials, and this is probably a larger conversation we should have, but just challenge between getting what an engineer designed to make it cost effective for the farm. What was designed by the engineer was not exactly compatible with the farm, so they have kind of balked at it, and they're looking for maybe a more cost effective design for these built structures. So the efforts are underway to revise the plans and to meet more practical construction standards while staying within budget. So they're just looking for 1 more construction season to get all these different moving parts completed.
Yeah, kind of curious there, when you say need for more discussion. It sounds like if there was if the engineer didn't fully understand what the farmer's budget was, or how they came up with a plan that was, over budget, basically. Yeah. I know you might not have the answer, but it's just.
So these practices require that, just spitballing, it's an open conversation. These 2 practices require a PE to sign off.
Mm-hmm.
And that just blew it up enough in the price that they prepared the compost design facility, and they could use that at multiple sites, but the design was far more complicated and expensive to build than standard local barn construction. So
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering, if that was just a poor communication between what the farmer's wants and needs were versus what the engineer was thinking, or how that came to be.
Sure.
Hopefully it's kind of a.
I've seen it at times where the costs are the perceived costs are greatly different than what from the farmer to the engineer, that the farmer thinks he's going to come in with something that is significantly lower, but once the engineer gets into everything, that there's a lot more cost to it, and they've got to rethink what they do to go back in and simplify the project. And that may be what's happened here, a unrealistic view on what was going to happen with cost, and had to come back with a little bit simpler way to bring costs down.
All right, motion to approve if there's no other discussion or questions.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All righty, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved.
Very good. Last one for Agnon Point Source is Ulster County Soil and Water Conservation District requesting an extension on a round 27 contract number C701485, implementation ag BMPs on the Twalskill Creek Hudson River watershed. This is an 18th month, no cost time extension. Reason being that two farms were working with the same engineer to design agrochemical mixing facilities with secondary containment. So they're using the same engineer. One district got NRCS funding, and that came with additional reporting requirements and slowed down implementation enough that implementation was not completed. And now that it is complete, they did get approved design package on January 17th, 2025, just last month. Both farms can now move forward now that they have funding for the engineer and plans moving forward. The farm with the NRCS funding is also facing additional delays from NRCS cultural review. But once this review is complete, the farm intends to implement the project during the summer construction season. Both farms remain committed to completing their projects as soon as they are approved. So they are looking for an 18-month extension, which would take them to fall of 2026 to finish up these agrochemical mixing facilities.
Any questions or discussion? If not, motion to approve.
I'll make motion.
Second.
Second.
All righty, we'll go to voting. Dale?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. It's the end of the amendments.
That's the only amendments. I'll take the microphone just to say that we got yesterday, Agnon Point Source round 30 was due at 4:30, and I'm in progress of downloading these proposals currently. And I'm just very happy that everyone was able to get their proposals in on time, and this is an exciting time. Thank you. That's it for me for the Agnon Point Source. Thank you.
Okay, then we will go to the ADM planner certification and certified planner quality assurance program. So you were up, Ron.
Thank you. Let me switch my screen over. Okay. Bethany, can you see the presentation?
Yes, looks great.
And how's the sound?
Sounds great.
Okay. So the first thing is an apology. Swapping over a lot of our information in our PowerPoints to the new AGM SWCC templates was a little challenging. So I did some of it, and some of these will be updated and supplied to the group after. But what we wanted to do, and it fits in great with the discussions we've been having the last couple months, as well as today, kind of bring everything together, is just update the state committee, the voting members, as well as everyone on the line that interacts with our programs and the farming community in New York, and provide some updates on some of the work and the programs that happen kind of behind the scenes, and some of the things, other tasks that we have at the state committee and ag and markets that fit right in with the foundational goals of these programs. So what we're going to do today is go over the AEM Planner Certification Program, as well as the AEM Certified Planner CNMP Quality Assurance Program. There's a lot of tongue twisters in here, so we'll go with AIM for AEM and just CNMPs for the others. I always like to camp on this slide for a minute just to kind of get my bearings and let everyone kind of soak in the view that it won't be winter forever and there's good times ahead. But like I said, we just want to have a discussion with you folks, provide a program update. We're not looking for any approval, motions, or votes. one thing that you will see is some of those things that Bethany has been laying out in the strategic plan, which is awesome, happening in the AEM planner world in the planning department. And that's what we call the CNMP specialists. We're kind of housed really focusing on the planning and the CAFO farms, as well as technical resources like Tim Clark, our engineer. Some of the technical assistance and capabilities that this team provides that helps our partners as well as our farmers and our programs. So as mentioned, really focusing on supporting and fulfilling the goals and the needs that are outlined in the strategic plan. These are really up to date. They're super important. And I was reflecting on kind of the history of AEM, and I'll go over that in a second, but it's almost as old as I am, or yeah, it's almost 35 years old. And thinking back to farms when I was younger and how I've seen them develop over time, and then where the industry is going and the type of farms and the resource concerns and the opportunities to use their nutrients and resources wisely, as well as so much of the science and BMPs and advancements in technology. I think that the horizon for AIM and assisting farmers in our cost share programs is more important now than ever, and will really shape the future for the next 10, 20 years of agriculture in New York. So there's going to be a heavy lift from the state committee and the soil and water conservation districts, as well as our partners, going forward more than ever. So we're really trying to gear up for that and, do the best that we can. So the other thing that a lot of these state committee meetings, we focus on the really fun stuff. We've got projects going in. We're sending out RFPs for really cool grant programs. Farmers are putting the best foot forward on conservation projects and trying to advance all different sorts of conservation and nutrient management on their farms. And we really focus on the awesome stuff, the brick and mortar, the new cultural practices. We've got a really great suite of programs with many different offerings, specializing in different priorities. And again, sometimes we might forget that the foundation of all of this is the AEM planning process and the AEM framework. So we're always trying to build those skills, knowledge, skills, and abilities of our conservation planners, our technicians, our engineers, our partners, and move that forward. It takes a long time to get a handle on the really important and tough job of becoming an AIM certified planner or a CCA or just AIM planner, district planner, helping farmers in all of these things. So it kind of lays the foundation for all this stuff, shows its importance, as well as things happening in New York, in the region, and then even some of our nationwide goals or regional goals across the country here. A lot of folks have done a lot of work over time to build this. AEM's got a robust, almost 3-decade history, and there's a unique approach in New York where we have New York State agriculture markets. We have some laws that kind of dictate how we run certain programs and how do we support regulations and other partners. I'm not going to go through all of those. You guys can reflect on the AIM district law, the strategic plan. You can look at this presentation and reach out to any of us on the team. We can all answer these questions, but just simply here to bring it back to the basics. AEM, is a great program. It's statewide. In some cases, it's voluntary. You meet farmers where they're at. And in other cases, such as the CAFO, New York State DEC regulated CAFO farms, it's a requirement, some of these things in here. So the AEM law, going way back, there's a lot of development, but then where I highlighted it in red, it really started taking shape for what we're kind of operating with today. AEM law, AEM legislation. It provided the provision for this AEM planner certification, which was a direct result of the need kind of in 1999 and before to support CNMP development for the CAFO farms, the regulated farms, and fulfill our obligations with Environmental Protection Agency permits. And now we have the New York State DEC ECL, Environmental Conservation Law, CAFO permit. The AIM planners that we support and we train and we help move forward are the only ones allowed to sign or develop and sign those CNMPs, as well as all of those different things that come into our cost share programs, advance our conservation goals. And what's really nice is as those planners are developing, they're also assisting other levels of AIM work and BMP development, providing technical assistance to farms. So we're really crossing over some ag and markets priorities, which are, you could almost say they're exactly in line with the state committee objectives and initiatives. So a lot of cool stuff here. The AEM law, provides us the tools, the guidance, and the foundation to set this program up and really have a strong base to have confidentiality with our farmers and really do good work on the farm. And we're getting ready. I'll show in a couple slides here. We're getting ready to do a CNMP training, which is a requirement of AIM planner certification. And I didn't know this until I reviewed this slide and added in there. The first one was in 1999. So there's a lot of folks and a lot of partners coming together to put that together. We really rely on NRCS, is the Natural Resource Conservation Service, their standards and specs and their planning policy and their definitions. And that's kind of how we set up CNMPs, how we define them. We work hand in hand with NRCS, New York, to update the CNMP checklist, provide trainings, and work with the four-way partnership, New York State DEC, Cornell Land Grant University, the Nutrient Management Sphere Program, the Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and the State Committee to really keep things going, organize it, and really get on the same page and speak as one voice when we're working with farmers. All these programs, all these guidelines, they intertwine. Sometimes this CNMP or this plan can have a spot in NRCS. They could have a spot in another program, or maybe NRCS develop plans drift into state committee cost share programs. And you'll see that we've oftentimes mixed and matched cost shares. So the AEM certified planner is, like I said, necessary for CAFO planning. It's got a really strong framework and it can be used on farms of all different sizes: poultry farms, horse farms, beef farms, dairy farms, maybe the most primary one. And all of those skills also fit to our other types of farms, the wineries, the crop farms, etc. So what's really made this strong is the years in collaboration from all these partnering agencies, like I said, maybe 3 decades of really experienced folks, trial and error, science-based approach, NRCS standards, commitment. There's been so much commitment to the process. It's kind of been unwavering. And what we've seen in the last 10 years, or my tenure at the state committee, is it's grown so much, the support and the trust in this process, and folks willing to invest in it because of the outcomes it provides. Farmers really can interact with it, and districts can build local teams and deliver the technical assistance and opportunities specific to their local AEM strategic plan. Just briefly here, I mean, I could take you into really deep water and go for a long time on the planning process and all the cool stuff that's involved with it. But right here is just a quick look at the AEM framework and the planning process. It is almost exactly in line with the NRCS planning process. And that's by design. And, you know, Chaz has been doing a lot of updates. Greg has done a lot of updates. Tyler's shown you dashboards in progress on work that's being done through the various AEM tiers. So, you know, tier 1, gaining information from farmers. Tier 2 is really where you can go in and assess the entire farm, look at the existing conditions, how they're managing it. Are there resource concerns? What are the drivers of those resource concerns? What are the key factors that might make it a potential resource concern, or the severity of it, and kind of point you towards what level of treatment or BMPs are necessary to improve that setup. As we mentioned, we spend a lot of time at the state committee in the meetings and our grant programs and the cost share programs looking at tier 4. That's where we're actually looking to implement those practices, whether they're cultural practices like we're doing a lot with nutrient management, or some of this historic or traditional brick and mortar concrete barnyards, silage leachate projects, etc. And then another really great thing that the founders built into it is this evaluation and update. AEM tier 3A plan or CNP, it's a living document. Farms change every day. The goals and objectives of the farm are the primary or the most important aspect of developing the CNP, or if it actually becomes real life on the farm. And those priorities change. The business plan might change. Fields come and go. So the CNP or the planning process is always alive. You're always going back and looking at things you built, things you assessed in the past, and looking for new opportunities. We've got a lot of great tools that help us deliver that approach and make it consistent and provide really good context on how to talk to farmers, how to assess what's on the farm. And we use the AEM tier 2 assessment worksheets. It's really a way to determine if there's a resource concern and how do you fulfill or identify where you need to provide adequate treatment or if a BMP is necessary. We have many AEM tier 2 worksheets that can be used on a lot of different farms. So planners interact with those a lot. Planners, like I mentioned, have a really tough job. They have to be super smart. They have to know so many things. I can't believe that there is a career where you have to be proficient and almost an expert in like 500 topics and all these nuanced things. And you have to know agriculture, business planning, chemistry, economics, a little bit of engineering, and then also be a good communicator, compassionate and effective when working with the farms and patient. So becoming a salesman, you know, that's something that some folks have the ability to become a salesman and some don't. I always used to struggle with that, but that's a huge part of this. And it's built in over time. We were discussing a couple of days ago about the amount of time and effort to build these planners at the district or in the private planning organizations. And I just stumbled upon the old investing 8-4-3 rule, where you spend a lot of time in the beginning gaining experience, working on your skills, building your knowledge, and you're becoming more proficient and a lot more helpful in the things that you work on. And then later on in your career or your knowledge base or experience, you really start seeing those gains. That's why conservation is really a commitment. It's a relationship amongst planners, organizations, and farmers. And sometimes it's represented by money, but conservation is really people. That's how I see it. And they have a tough job. Like I said, there's a lot of things going on. They got to identify resource concerns, find treatments. This is just a slide I like to show. They have to plan alternatives and come up with BMP systems that fit the farm's management, their capability, their goals, and all the things in between. So they spend a lot of time figuring out what can be done out there, how does it fit in, how does it interact with other parts on the farm or other future goals they might have, and how can they operate and maintain it. We see a lot of BMP systems that, you know, might do better if there was a little more time spent in the planning process. And then others are super successful because the time was spent and they really nailed down what would work for that farm. Just really quick here, this is kind of cool. It's, you know, we offer a lot of different AEM Tier 3 plans in the AEM planning process. That allows farmers to, we meet them where they're at. We look at their priorities. We see what they're comfortable with. Are they just going to do are they mostly interested in cleaning up the farmstead, or are they really focused on improving their pastures or looking at their cropland? So we kind of see where we can fit in. We might pair a couple of those plans together, combine them, and hit a couple things at once. And that's also determined like who can really develop and sign off on those with our AEM planner certification and CCA certification. But that's a really cool thing because you can do a farmstead plan and circle back in a year and build in nutrient management, core or full 590, or put a lot of these together and have a CNMP. So it's really convenient. And it leads to a lot of the cool projects that we see in the BMP showcases that, you know, folks here are showing. And when we award these Tier 4 implementation projects, so much cool stuff going on out there. Just to give you a little more context about how crazy it is to, you know, work with a farm, see all the moving parts, and then apply all of the guidelines and the planning process to it. There is so much there, and every piece interacts with another part of the plan. Good information in, good information out. It's all anchored together. And in a lot of cases, like this is a perfect one. If a farm hadn't done a NRCS 590 plan, just that alone, if you ran this plan or this planning process, it's almost like a business plan for them. They're going to learn so much that they might not have known about the value of their manure, where their fields are at, and how to move things forward. So there's a lot there. To make it even more complex, it's CNMP planning. Brendan and I say this all the time. It's solving small problems one at a time and pairing them together. Jumping into CNMP development or whole farm planning or going to some of these big farms, it's way too overwhelming. You don't know where to start. You don't know what to look at or what to focus on. And to make it even crazier, you might be focusing on one field or one tract, balancing the nutrients, the manure applications, and all the other things that are involved. And then you have to take stock of the conservation crop rotations or the goals across the entire farm acreage. So planners they're keeping track of so much stuff and seeing, you know, where the potential hazards are, the resource concern, and where there's opportunities to improve. So there is a lot involved. Some of these farms have many, many fields and thousands of acres, and nutrients coming and going and crops switching all the time. So it's a huge lift, and those CNMPs that are updated on an annual basis, they're not just doing this once, they're keeping track of this in a live fashion, back and forth with the farmer, almost like a heartbeat. Information in, information out, things are changing. It's really special, and it requires a lot of support. Just an example here of, you know, the opportunities I mentioned before about hopping out to a farm. This is a small little beef farm, lots of resource concerns all in one tiny little spot. And we pair a lot of things together, farmstead plan, a pasture management plan, a crop management plan, And in this case, it was a full CNMP to really be able to handle this all at once. And this was all done through AEM cost share programs and our NRCS cost share programs to make improvements that last till today. This was a farm I worked on back in 2009. Then I still drive by this farm and they're still rocking and rolling in this fashion. So it's really exciting. And you see here where we identify the ag BMP systems, and then those are comprised of NRCS conservation practices. We do that, we support this goal, and our NRCS looks at this, New York State DEC looks at this, TMDL and other reporting entities look at our ag BMP systems catalog and those practices and are really doing some modeling and getting credit for them and taking stock on a larger scale of where we're at across the landscape as far as resource concerns and BMPs and potential improvements. And we're doing a lot of stuff right now trying to identify, you know, a new frontier of air quality concerns and opportunities, and how do we put those in context and quantify them. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into this. This tool right here, the catalog, just allows us to be consistent, organized, and provide planners, engineers, grant reviewers, and other stakeholders a way to understand these things and see them in the same fashion over and over. This is one that you could just maybe print out of the PowerPoint and look at it over time. You'll see where AEM, the state committee, AGM, this partnership and the planning process is so intertwined. It's just another way to look at the process as a whole, almost the history, the different agencies, personnel, and professionals, is people who specialize in different things, each have a home here. And at the state committee, the CNMP specialists, as well as some of the other folks on our team, have our feet in the door, or, you know, we're working on a lot of these different things here. Just as I peek at it quickly here, Greg, Brennan, and I work on the nutrient management SPEAR program and the land grant university stuff, where you'll see, if you go on their website or look at these documents, you'll see AGM and our work in collaboration with those folks. You'll see Tim and I on the state committee working with NRCS conservation practice standards, the New York NRCS technical advisory section. You'll see where districts have a role in these things and how it intertwines with the different levels of planning and the requirements. So, I mean, I could have just shown this one slide and probably saved you a lot of work. So to the actual update here, the AEM planner certification, that is a huge lift. Brennan and I spend a lot of our time on this program. We're developing those planners, we're providing training, we're assessing their work, and it's super important for all the things I mentioned with AEM, resource concern planning, and supporting the CAFO permit. This certification, as mentioned before, is a provision in the AEM law. It's administered through New York State Ag and Markets and fully supports the New York State DEC CAFO permit. And as you've seen even today, I think Tyler mentioned it, or Jason, the CNMP is required for NRCS 590 planning and our waste storage and transfer BMPs from NRCS. We do have a couple of different flavors of nutrient management planning. And as you saw a couple years ago, the short-term storage, that allows CCAs to participate in that planning level. But there is a requirement. And then you also see that the AIM certified planners have a place in all of the AEM different funding options, but in round 19, you know, it'd be option C. There's 3 steps to become a CCA or a CNMP planner, you got to become a CCA, Certified Crop Advisor, in the Northeast region. And we'll go into some of the details that, really make that a strong program and why we put so much attention to it and support to it. It does a lot of heavy lifting for us and also gives us stock with the farmers. That folks will also be required to attend a 3 or 4 day NRCS AEM CNMP training. We're actually doing this in the beginning of April. We do it every other year. And then after that is where a majority of interaction with us comes into play. That's the CNMP 3 plan review process. So back to step 1 and why the CCA is so important. It's administered by the American Society of Agronomy. It looks at your knowledge, skills, and abilities, your proficiency, and a lot of the things that make up the AEM initiatives or grant programs: soil and water conservation, nutrient management, integrated pest management, and crop production and management. There are so many separate focus areas and topics within each of those that CCAs study up on and get familiar with, and be able to provide that information, that science and technical assistance to farmers. You get you submit your credentials, work experience to a board to make sure that you've got proper experience out in the field. And then what's really a key staple of this is you got to maintain your certification by obtaining or attending training events, and they're called continuing education units. So you always have people basically not going stale. They're keeping up to date with new guidelines, new technology, and interacting with industry practices. Way back in the day, the AEM certification subcommittee, that's no longer there. We basically operate that as the New York State CNMP specialists now, but they help, really build the Northeast CCA training topics, and we work on that today. Greg has sat on the Northeast CCA board, and I'm taking a little bit of more active role in that now. So that's another partnership that we put a lot of time into. Again, supporting the state committee programs. We use it as the foundation for our certification program, as well as our quality assurance program. CCAs have elevated funding because they can do more things and offer a higher level of technical assistance in the AEM-based program. You'll see that in option B. And you'll also see that they have the ability to sign off or approve some conservation activities out there, like cover crops, etc. The soil health policy and some of our other technical documents will show what CCAs can sign off on, and then what AIM certified planners can sign off on. The rest of them, the professional engineers, take care of those. So attending the AEM NRCS CNMP training, it's like a rite of passage, really high level training. All of the partners there are there. We do it together. We spend a lot of time preparing for it, and you go through everything CNMP related and spend a quality time with prospective planners or other agency stakeholders that want to gain familiarity with the process and understand it, even if they're not planning. So that's a huge lift. That's happening, like, as I mentioned, April, the first week of April at Cornell University, and districts have been supplied the registration as well as other partners, and that is due March 14th. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot of folks there and collaborating on all things CNMP. So you do all that. Now it's time to really showcase your work and your knowledge, skills, and ability. You enter the CNMP 3 plan review process, where you go work with the farm, apply all of the NRCS standards and specs, the other land grant university guidelines, and the planning process. Put that all together, submit your CNMP to Brendan and I. We'll review it, go over what you saw out there and how you put it together. And it's like one-on-one training with those planners in the dialogue to maybe spruce up their plan, fill in the blanks or just enhance it. So they work on those until they get all of the requirements satisfied, and then we'll accept it and they go on to the next plan. By the time we do plan 3, it should be pretty good. And that one we do a farm site visit, really spend some time with the planner to showcase and walk us through the farm and really look at the fields and other things that we saw there. And once they satisfy all of the planning requirements there and that plan is accepted, that's when you become an AIM certified planner. So that's a huge workload, takes a long time. And this is a super high level professional certification. Think of it almost as like a professional engineer. The current status, how many planners are in our stable, that changes. There's been, we've always been hovering around 40 to 50. There's a lot of folks retiring, and luckily there's a lot of folks still building into this and seeing a future and pursuing certification. So every year we do an update to the AEM certified planner directory. Right now we have 51 total AEM certified planners. 47 of them want to be listed in this directory, where they're basically soliciting work to districts, farmers, where do they want to offer their services out there. And then we always have a group of planners in process. They're somewhere in the mix. And right now we have 9 planners working in the 3-plan review process. And we always like to update folks on where they're at. So, 4 planners at 4 soil and water districts, 5 planners at private planning organizations. And really excited, we got a couple really interested planners that are getting ready to submit their first plan. So, we want to keep seeing those come in, and we're excited to work with them. Put that aside, you get your certification, you're rocking and rolling, and how do we really strengthen this program? How do we really support those planners and the process as a whole? We do that through the AEM Certified Planner, tongue twister, CNMP Quality Assurance Program. This allows us to circle back with planners, check out the work that they're doing, and see how they're doing it, and then also, review updated nutrient management guidelines, new standards, how they're incorporating new regulations or new opportunities. That we go through we select a plan from them, do the same review, but this one's more focused on the broad strokes and the key factors. And they do the same thing, get some feedback from us, spruce up their plan if they need to, update things, and if they meet all of the criteria, then they maintain their certification. We really focus on the CAFO farm planners for this, and we offer it to any other planner that wants to have their work reviewed. It's open door policy at any time, whether you're CCA, AEM certified planner, or district technician. We will look at your work and provide feedback. Back to the CCA, we use this as AIM certified planners have to maintain their CCA certification. We partner with and help the CCA. So we check their records every year and make sure that they're keeping up on their certification, continuing to get educated. And then let's see here. Yeah, we look at all their work and see how it's going. And planners will maintain their certification if they meet all these goals and objectives. And there's a potential that if they, were deficient or not performing well, there could be a decertification, which, we haven't had to do. We don't want to do it because most of the planners jump right in and they're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll update it. And they're right back on the highway. A lot of times it's a very small part of the plan that needs updating because there's so many things changing over time. How do we do this? How do we keep it going? How is it still strong? It's all done through partnership. Not one of us can do it alone. There's way too much going on here. Luckily, our partners and stakeholders are really active in this endeavor. Farmer input, federal programs, us here, DEC, the Soil and Water Conservation Districts, the planners themselves, and everyone else. It's a team effort. So that's really exciting. We almost never get told no when we reach out. It's almost always yes, let's help out or let's join in. Probably way over time, Bethany, but I got a few more things here just to showcase some of the work that the state committee and the folks here do kind of behind the scenes. We have obligations and responsibilities as well as a desire to participate with supporting the New York State DEC CAFO permit, the regional inspectors, how they're looking at different things, where the technical background or guidance for the DEC, if they have questions on the planning process or what they're seeing out there. As mentioned before, hand in hand with NRCS conservation practice standards, their development and use in New York State, Cornell Nutrient Management Advisory Committee, both internal agency folks as well as external partners like farmers and other agency stakeholders and the soil and water districts and private planners. A lot of great collaboration there. And you'll see a critical role. The four-way partnership speaks kind of as one voice in a lot of our guidance documents. So if you were to go on the Cornell Nutrient Management Sphere program and look at our nutrient guidelines or risk assessments, you'll see that Greg, Brennan, I, and others collaborate on those things, and you'll see the state committee's presence on there. As mentioned, the certified crop advisor, and then another similar route is the 4R stewardship program. Everyone knows the 4Rs. Brendan is taking an active role in leading us on the advisory role for the ag and markets to help them out. And there's many, many other things that we're working on here, as well as trying to feed those cows. Back to Bethany's thing and supporting districts and other folks out there, lots of training. So doing AM planner certification, helping our programs, and training folks all around the state. Water quality symposium, conservation skills workshop, regional trainings. We typically do 3 to 6 of those at each one of those, and that's not just us, it's other folks on our team, the AEAs and program managers. And those are really well attended and supported, which you'll see the water quality symposium happening here at the end of March. A whole list of technical one-on-one support or group support or private planning support. Brennan and I are really tooled up to take a email, a phone call. It happens all day long, every day, to help out with running the AEM process, checking out the BMPs, running the software. So there's a lot of things we gear up and are ready to jump right on, share screens, and look at someone's software or planning process and troubleshoot where they're going or help them out. And then, really supporting the foundation and gathering up our thoughts on the technical assistance or the, the really nutrient management or BMP specific information that is built into our different planning programs or cost share programs, and supporting the technical advisory committee and other things that we do here, working together to really dig into the cool things and opportunities that we have ahead of us. This is a new offering, back to building in how we can support district planners out there. And I think I heard Dale chime in earlier about the value of manure and the role it plays in CNP planning or crop management. New York State and the state committee have a set of spreader calibration scales. They're sitting right here next to my desk. They're used to work with the farm, look at how they're spreading manure, come up with the amount and rate that they're spreading out there and the value of that manure, as well as look at different opportunities to adjust the application rate, timing method, etc., to make the most use of those nutrients. So you're going to see that those weight scales and some training will be shared on SharePoint for the districts to interact with. So stay tuned. We haven't quite launched it yet, but in the coming weeks, we'll put some information in there, and that's going to be really exciting for those planners to, you know, have that ability to interact with us. And one, you know, Brendan or I will go out the first couple of times and help them out with these things. And they can, you know, use them going forward to improve their planning process.
Whew, that phone call is still going on. I've had enough.
So, you know, just roping it in, the importance of knowing what's in those nutrient sources and making the best use of them. Manure, the value of manure is still being studied, and it's being shown as such a valuable resource on the farm, not just for NP and K, but there's like 19 other nutrients in there that are super beneficial. And there's even, they're looking at biologic implications and different things in the soil that just is really exciting. So showing farmers how to best collect, transfer, and store those nutrients in the most beneficial way, so they're not losing nutrients and they can have those and apply them when they need to. They make the most use of it. That's the new frontier, and our planning efforts and our cost share programs are really looking into those and supporting them. Right source, right rate, all of the 4 R's. Know what you're doing out there, look for opportunities, and look for ways to best use your resources on your farm. Last thing I'll say is the best thing about the AEM planning process and all of those NRCS standards and specs is in some way they're inherently related to the farmer's goals and objectives. And there's hardly any other spots where it's not beneficial for the farm to look at these things or assess their current situation and maybe be able to change their management going forward that would benefit them the most. So it's time well spent, effort worth investing in, and we're really excited to keep building this team and supporting each other going forward. So that it's probably like 5 o'clock right now. I don't even know what's going on, but we can take some questions. Anyone that wants to, you know, think over this and reach out, they can reach out to me or Brendan and at any time, and we'll slow down and really camp on those things. Bethany, shut me down.
Thank you for that very comprehensive report, Ron. And I think it was really nice, though, that we were able to include it with this agenda because it is really consistent with what, you know, we reported on earlier. And I think it's important that we keep moving the planner certification you know, program forward and doing what we can to build district capacity out there.
Yeah, the first time you mentioned that it was 30 years old, I thought, wow, I remember when that started. And then second or third time, I thought, wow, now it's feeling old.
I used to be the young guy, and I know the date, my first day working at the district, May 27, 2008. And jumping into the waters then, even with a firm background in conservation and law and policy, and growing up on a really active AEM conservation farm, what a tough job and overwhelming thing. You really had to focus and commit to investing in yourself, learning from everyone, make use of every resource. Now everything is way more advanced. Farms are way bigger. Technology is advanced. So supporting folks and our planners and our districts and our partners is super important, because this is a tough job and we really need to hang on to these folks and support them. They're the foundation of everything we do. Thank you.
All right, there's no questions for Ron, or comments, we'll move on to the climate resilient farming program.
Thank you. I just have a quick update. I'll just let everyone know that, for round 7, we have 58 contracts executed now. So we just have one at the OSC and one at AG's office. So that whole round is almost fully executed. That's, been, a lengthy process, but districts are finally getting their contracts and, requesting their advances and getting moving on projects. So round 7 is advancing. Round 8, we have 68 plan of work reviewed and approved. So we're still just waiting on 2. There's 70 contracts in that round altogether. Big round, lots going on, but it's moving forward, a lot faster than round 7 already. So that's good news for districts. So we'll be working on contract development on those and, getting those through the approval process. So that's the status for round 7 and 8. And then for round 9, we're still working on the RFP and updating the documents for that round. And then there are some things pending upon that release of that.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. I think I can speak a little bit about the pending matters, specifically in relation to the Climate Smart Commodities Grant. We mentioned it earlier. That was the $17 million of federal funding from USDA that really, gave us the opportunity to launch such a large round 8. And as Jennifer said, we continue to work on those contracts and moving those forward. Greg and a number of the districts that received an award with the federal funding have been working on the requirements, chief among them the CPA 52, the environmental impact statement of projects related to manure management. And just up until this week, and it's only Tuesday, we continue to move those CPA 52s through a dedicated web portal that was managed by an outside contractor, and that became apparent to us just yesterday that that web portal has been closed down and that contract has been canceled as a part of the government efficiency work at the federal level. We immediately reached out to our USDA program manager, who is on detail from South Dakota, but he's been extremely receptive to and responsive to our questions, even if he could not give us good answers or at least solid confirming answers. And he did confirm to us that the contract was canceled and they're waiting for further guidance from USDA on what to do next, not just with that particular part of the program, but as a whole, what's the fate of the program? It was a part of the federal funding freeze and the pause as far as USDA's activities, but like I said before, we were encouraged to continue to move forward with our own, requirements, and that's what the CPA 52 and continuing to work with districts and farms to make sure that they had their USDA reports up to date and all of that. So we are still waiting for guidance. That's a big buildup to say we don't know the fate of the program just yet, but as Jennifer mentioned last meeting, with the approval of the round 9 RFP, there were still some questions about whether we would have the ability to use the remaining federal funds for round 9. And those questions obviously still outstanding. We don't need a motion from the committee right now in the fact that you didn't approve a specific release date for round 9 last month, but we are cautious. We're being cautious right now and holding round 9 back until we have a more clear picture on the USDA funding, primarily around round 8, because we have ongoing obligations. Right, we awarded, I believe it was 53 funds, 2 tracks, $17 million. So we want to make sure we have a clear picture as to whether those will move forward with federal funding. We're hearing some good news out of USDA, and just late last week, they did release IRA, greenlit the IRA equip funding. That was also paused. So we're waiting for confirmation on the climate smart commodities program as well. So we just wanted to kind of provide that update to folks, knowing that we've got a lot of questions that remain to be answered, and we'll come back to the state committee. Well, certainly by April. I think within the next few weeks we'll have a clearer picture, but we're going to hold ground line until we do.
All right.
Yeah.
So thanks for the update on that.
Real quick, before we go to the next meeting, I did not, because we had such a big agenda today, I didn't put like our round robin reports on the agenda. Rather, I asked if anyone had a written report, they could submit it and I would note it. So I only received one written report from CDEA. Excuse me. Thank you, Caitlin. I will make sure that that report gets included with the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the next meeting is scheduled for April 15th, and we're talking meeting in Utah. If that works for everyone.
Should be good.
That may be a spring break week for folks, just, guess keep that in mind, but it is our third Tuesday.
All right.
I'll let you know on the 14th.
Huh?
I'll let you know on the 14th. We'll pick you up on the 15th.
Okay, well, we'll plan on that for now, and if
Yes.
something has to change.
Hope that all works out.
Yeah.
Board members or?
I wasn't, unless you want to give
No, I
one.
just didn't know if you were including that one. All righty, I guess unless someone has something else, that's all we have.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Guess what?
Aye.
All right. All right. We are adjourned.
Thank you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Bye.
You.